Councilmember Crosby. Councilmember Johnson.
Present.
Here.
Councilmember Lau. Mayor Pro Tem Kashvagita. Mayor Hepburn is absent, out of country.
Sipping on margarita.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I will read the closed session items into the record. Conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. Negotiators, city manager, assistant city manager, and city attorney. Employee organizations, Laverne Miscellaneous / General Unit Teamsters Local 1932. Laverne Firefighters Association, Laverne Fire Middle Management Association, Laverne Police Officers Association, Laverne Police Middle Management Association, and all unrepresented employees.
What a great day. All right, what a great day. Thank you all for coming today. Good evening. What did I say? Good afternoon? Good morning. You know what? It's morning somewhere. I was just talking to the mayor, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, so I had that in my mind. Well, good evening, everybody. Either way, it's good to see everybody here today. All right. We're going to go ahead and start. I love doing this thing. I can get used to this. All right. All right. I know. Time is 6:32. We're going to go ahead and start tonight's City Council meeting. I want to remind everyone that per the city's rules for decorum, all speakers, members of our great audience, and council members are to conduct themselves with decorum and to not engage in conduct that interrupts the orderly conduct of the City Council meeting. Also, public comment through Zoom today and will be accepted for the agenda items listed with the consent calendar, public hearing, and discussion calendar sections of the agenda. General public comments will be accepted at the meeting by those physically in attendance and at the appropriate time. Tonight, we are pleased to have the 64th Civil Air Patrol Squadron to present the colors and lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Commander, go ahead and call them forward. Please rise.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is that clear? All right. Thank you very much. Please have a take a seat. And let me go ahead and thank you. That was awesome, wasn't it? How wonderful. Come on in, future leaders. Come on in. All right. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the 64th Civil Air Patrol. How amazing. How awesome. All right. We're going to get, who's the highest rank here? All right. Let me get step on over. That's how we do. Okay. Well, good evening. I would like for you to be so kind to introduce yourself and introduce your squad and let our great members on our committee know who you guys are. Would you be so kind?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, good evening. My name is Cadet Second Lieutenant Kennedy. I am the cadet commander at Squadron 64. With me are two lieutenants. This is Lieutenant Medeiros, and on the end is Lieutenant Charibongs. And in the middle is my first sergeant, who is the NCO, who's kind of my right-hand man. This is Chief Dip. So we are part of the cadet program. There is a senior member and a cadet program, so we represent the cadets, so people younger than 18, pretty much. At the very edge by the door is my father, First Lieutenant Kennedy. He is the deputy commander for seniors at our squadron. And he is accompanying us today. We work at Brackett Field Airport. That is where our headquarters are, but we do things all around the city and outside of the city to help serve our community, state, and nation.
Guys, having
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, especially with summer coming up. We've been doing a lot of recruiting at schools, middle schools, high schools, to hopefully get some people onboarded here. We have about 50 cadets in the squadron, and we're continuing to grow. So yeah, if you know anybody who's 12 years or older and they're interested in learning how to lead, anything related to aerospace, even airplanes, tell them to check us out. Again, Brackett Field, we meet on Mondays at 7 p.m. I just graduated from Chaffee High School. I plan to attend SDSU for mechanical engineering after this. I might.
I'm graduating next Thursday from Claremont High School, and next year I plan on attending the United States Military Academy. West Point. Sir.
Army. That's what I'm talking about.
I currently attend Orange County School of the Arts in Santa Ana.
I'm a sophomore. I currently go to Troy High School in Fullerton.
City of Laverne Certificate of Recognition presented Civil Air Patrol Squadron 64. This certificate is presented on behalf of the Laverne City Council, the Civil Air Patrol Squadron 64, with sincere appreciation for your service to our community. Lieutenant, thank you. Hold on. Come on up, Lieutenant. Right there. All right, it's gone. All right, Mr. Dormer, can we go ahead and roll call, please?
Thank you. Councilmember Crosby.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson.
Present.
Councilmember Lau. Mayor Pro Tem Kashyapagita.
Present.
And Mayor Hepburn is absent and out of the country, and will be back in the city tomorrow evening.
Well, God bless him. Hope he had a great time. All right. Tonight we have three presentations. The first is a Pride Month proclamation. Pride Month is time to celebrate identity rights and inclusion of LGBTQ plus people and to advocate for inclusivity. Will the casting members present please come forward? Where's that light?
So this is the proclamation from the City of Laverne, whereas Pride Month, observed each June, celebrates the historic accomplishments, resilience, and ongoing contributions of LGBTQ plus individuals within our community and around the world, and whereas the City of Laverne recognizes the inherent dignity, equal rights, and the value of every individual regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, or expression. And whereas the City of Laverne remains committed to fostering a community rooted in inclusivity, equity, safety, and mutual respect for all. And whereas promoting awareness, education, and understanding of LGBTQ plus history, culture, and lived experiences strengthens the spirit of unity and belonging within the Laverne community. And whereas the visibility, voices, and talents of LGBTQ plus residents, students, families, and community members enrich the cultural, social, and economic fabric of Laverne, helping make the city a welcoming and vibrant place to live, work, learn, and gather. And whereas the City of Laverne recognizes the important role of local programs and partnerships, including the Cultural Awareness and Social Inclusion Committee, in creating opportunities for connection, education, support, and understanding, helping foster a welcoming and inclusive community for LGBTQ plus individuals and allies. Now, therefore, the City of Laverne does hereby proclaim the month of June 2026 as Pride Month and encourages all citizens, public institutions, and businesses to celebrate LGBTQ plus achievements, honor the ongoing pursuit of equality, and renew our commitment to dignity, respect, and equality for all.
Sure. So I'm a member of CASI, but also the executive director of Pomona Valley Pride. And I just wanted to thank CASI for really, I would say, do an amazing job of being inclusive to all the community, including organizations like Pomona Valley Pride. It is our mission and vision to be in the communities within the Pomona Valley region, and we can't do this work without CASI. So we look forward to the continued partnership, continued growth, our presence in the City of Laverne. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
My brother. Always see you. Staying strong. Look at you. Like that blazer. Yes, ma'am. Here we go. All right. Our next presentation. I was coming. God is good. Here we go. Our next presentation item is the Route 66 Centennial Proclamation. The year 2026 marks the centennial of our Route 66. The California Historic Route 66 Association continues to serve as the official voice for Route 66 California, supporting efforts to preserve, promote, and improve this historic corridor. Nice shirt.
Thank you.
As you should, sir. Mr. John Atwater from the California Historic Route 66 Association. Thank you for being here today. Stand by. We're going to have our proclamation. Outstanding. All right. City of Laverne proclamation. Whereas Route 66 travels 2,448 miles through 8 states, beginning in Chicago, Illinois, and ending in Santa Monica, California. And whereas Route 66 was commissioned as a U.S. Highway 66 in 1926 and is celebrating its centennial year in 2026. And whereas each year thousands of travelers from across the United States and around the world visit Route 66, thereby creating jobs and adding to the economic vitality of Route 66 towns and businesses. And whereas approximately 2.7 miles of historic Route 66 travels through the city of Laverne. That's right, which is a gateway city to both the San Gabriel Valley and the greater Los Angeles region. And whereas the city of Laverne is home to many historic icons of Route 66, including the Weber House, the Hanawal House, La Paloma restaurant with this nostalgic neon sign, as well as the United Methodist Church, where one can recreate the wedding scene from the iconic 1960s movie The graduate. There we go. All right. Whereas California Historic Route 66 Association continues to collaborate on projects such as the Route 66 Corridor Management Plan, the National Scenic Byway designation, as well as the promotion of state tourism. Now, therefore, the City of Laverne salutes California Route 66 Association and declares its support for the centennial year of Route 66, dated this day, 1st of June, by our great mayor, Tim Hepburn. Sir, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Please, few words.
Yes, I am John Atwater, and I'm the local ambassador for the California Historic Route 66 Association. That is a local nonprofit with our mission being to promote, protect, and preserve Route 66. One of our various items we do allow for is we have grant money that comes available through us, through other sources, that we make sure it gets out to small businesses along the alignment of Route 66, both here and in other communities. And if you notice the shirt I'm wearing, well, this is one of the. Thank you, sir. This is the uniform I was wearing just recently at the Los Angeles County Fair for the 17-day run. You might have visited the Route 66 booth. Well, the booth I was managing there, and we had a very good turnout. Many people love Route 66. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Great photos. Outstanding. Our final presentation item, stand by. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. All right, so this year, as we just proclaimed, is the Route 66 Centennial. And so we're doing a variety of programming this year, one with our car show that we're hosting in Old Town Laverne in November. But this year, we're also doing something unique. We're doing a passport program. I was actually going to plug it at the June 15th meeting because that's the official start date, but might as well start now. So we have 16 participating locations and businesses that are offering specials and promos, and they're partaking in this program where it's basically a scavenger hunt along Route 66. Find a hidden icon, you fill out your passport. Once you complete your passport, you're entered into a raffle and you can get some prizes. So that's all summer long, so please enjoy our Route 66 corridor and have some fun.
Now I'd like to call up Miss Lauren Ferrich. So our final presentation item is the recognition of Lauren, which is she's the student representative to the Youth and Family Action Committee. And this committee is dear to my heart. Wendy and I were on this committee for many, many years. And I was on it when I was actually assistant principal at middle school at Ramona over 15 years ago when this program happened. And Lauren has been our student representative now. She's been participating for the last 3 years. And so she leaves a long legacy of participation and student voice as part of the committee. And I told her she better bring the next person on they're going to be there just as long as her. So for the past 3 years, and this made the history as the first voting student representative on the YFAC Executive Board following the city's recent commission reorganization. Throughout her time with YFAC, Lauren has brought thoughtful insight, leadership, and a strong commitment to serving the Laverne community. Lauren is graduating from Bonita High School this Thursday, June 4th, with a 3.7 GPA. And an impressive record of involvement both in and outside of school. She has attended Bonita Unified School since kindergarten, participated in instrumental band, and choir programs, served on the Bonita's Spirit team all 4 years, participated in class council and link crew, and captained the girls' golf team during her senior year. Her passion for the arts is equally remarkable. Lauren has studied piano for the past 10 years, has danced since second grade, and has been involved in choir for 4 years at Bonita High School. When does she have time to do anything else? Through choir, she has had the honor of performing at Carnegie Hall in New York, participating in Disneyland's Candlelight Procession, and traveling to Seattle to perform. Lauren has also demonstrated a deep commitment to service through her volunteer work at the Vacation Bible School at Calvary Chapel in La Habra, and a recent missions trip to Costa Rica, helping refurbish a church and working with the local children. In addition, she was selected to represent Laverne as a Rotary Youth Leadership Award participant among outstanding youth from Southern California and Nevada. This fall, Lauren will attend Vanguard University, where she plans to major in psychology with a minor in American Sign Language. Her goal is to become a marriage and family therapist and work with members of the deaf and hard of hearing community, while one day returning to Laverne to give back through her own practice. Lauren, thank you for your leadership, service, and dedication to our community. We congratulate you on your many accomplishments and wish you continued success in all that lies ahead. Congratulations. I still got to do a little more reading. So, the City of Laverne certificate of recognition presented to Lauren. This certificate is presented on behalf of the Laverne City Council to Youth and Family Action Committee Student Representative Lauren Farage, with sincere appreciation for your service to our community. Presented June 1st, 2026, signed by Mr. Tim Hepburn. Would you like to say anything? Yeah.
I'm like, you're pretty much covered.
Thank you. She just is so amazing and does so much. I want to first want you to introduce your family then, because we know that is a big part of who you are and what you do as well.
My mom and my dad and my sister and my grandparents are here tonight, and they have supported me through so much, and I love you guys. Thank you so much.
We can take some photos. We want you guys to come on up and take some photos. Outstanding job. Well, good evening, everybody. Great day in Laverne. And before I continue, I would also like to acknowledge our great former mayor, Don Kendrick there. We appreciate you. Thank you for coming here today. And I'll just make sure that I acknowledge your good presence here, sir. You sat on these seats for many years and made this great city what it is today. So I'll always remember that. And a couple more things.
And Don was one of the original founders of the Youth and Family Action Committee. And so really appreciate his service for that, and always here for the youth of Laverne. So thank you again, sir.
Forward thinker. Sailors lead the way. That's right. Okay. I'd like to move on now to announcements for upcoming community events. Let's see here. Adrian. Oh, yeah, come on up, Adrian. That's my buddy. All right. Laverne's finest library. LA County right there, buddy.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, and staff. I would like to introduce a few events that will be taking place at Laverne Library this month. Beginning this week, LA County Library will begin the Summer Reading Discovery Program, where people can win prizes for reading books and completing tasks. Those who want to participate can pick up their reading log and either read 3 books or complete 3 tasks to complete the log. Children and teens can turn in their log to earn a prize, and adults can turn it in to be entered in a drawing for gift cards or an Amazon Kindle. The program will run until August 10th, and people can enter in person at the library or online at lacountylibrary.org. And to kick off the Summer Discovery Program, we'll hold a performance by juggler Michael Rayner on Tuesday, June 16th at 4 p.m. Mr. Rayner will perform comedic tricks and stunts that the whole family can enjoy. For adults, we'll be holding a crazy canvas art program on Saturday, June 13th at 2 p.m. During this program, participants will roll dice to get ideas for an original canvas painting. This will make the art workshop fun and less intimidating. And to celebrate the FIFA World Cup arrival to LA, we will hold a DIY foosball craft activity for teens on Saturday, June 6th at 2 p.m. Teens will be able to design their own working foosball table from a cardboard box, clothespin, and wood dowels. After activity, they are free to take their working foosball table home. And to learn more about other activities at our library, please visit lacountylibrary.org. All right, thank you.
Adrian, you talked about the Kindle. Now that's a raffle prize?
Yes, it's a raffle.
I just want to make sure not everyone's going to get the Kindle.
No, I'm sorry. I should explain that better. Yeah, it's a raffle that will be at the end of the reading program on August 10th.
Thank you.
Okay.
Adrian, thank you for everything you do, brother. Appreciate you. Thanks again. All right. Anybody else would like an upcoming act? I can't let please step forward. Team effort there. That's right.
Well, guess what? It's the Laverne Historical Society. Back again, like we are every 2 weeks. And I want to begin by thanking our city manager, Ken Domer, and the staff at the city maintenance yard for turning loose all the decommissioned street signs for our vintage sale and home tour. And boy, are those popular. I think we sold to date $500 worth of signs. Yeah, and that was Saturday, and then it went up Sunday, and we've got some more people coming to look on Wednesday. So that was a large part of our success. Thank you so much for thinking of us, and for the staff at the maintenance yard that helped to get the signs onto Kathy's vehicle, to get it to my house, to do the vintage sale. That was terrific. I really want to thank you. So continuing our Route 66 celebration on the 8th of June, we will have a presentation at the Hillcrest Meeting House. Our speaker will be David Allen, and his topic is going to be Route 66 in the 909. He's going to talk about local Route 66 lore, and I understand he's going to be joined by Mr. Atwater, who's bringing a few items from his Route 66 collection. So that'll be fun to look at. Come to this. It is free, open to the public. We'll begin at 7 p.m. So, yes.
But come a little early and buy jams and jelly.
There you go.
Sign up for membership or renew membership if you haven't yet. So if you come about 6:30, that's a good time. You get a great seat.
What a good idea. All right. So let's see. Moving on. On the 20th of June, we have our big trip to the Huntington Library, Art Museum, Library, Art Museum, and Botanical Gardens. We are leaving about 9:15 in the morning. We won't be back till 5 in the afternoon. We're spending the whole day, and we're going to be enjoying the new exhibit, This Land Is, which talks about the geographic changes that have occurred through the westward movement. So that should be a very interesting exhibit. Anything else you can think of for this month?
No.
Yeah, but wait, there's more. There is actually more, but not the Historical Society.
Nope.
On the Friday and Saturday, that would be the 13th, I believe, 12th and 13th of June. The Garden Friends is having a plant sale at the Holy Trinity Church that's on the corner of Badillo and 2nd Street in Covina. So if you want to spruce up your yard and buy some beautiful plants, we've been potting up plants and have those ready for sale. And come indulge yourself with a little summer color. That's it. All right.
Appreciate you. Outstanding. All right. Anyone else would like to have any upcoming announcement of any upcoming community events? Mr. Ivey, please. Yes, sir. Yes, indeed.
Welcome, and thank you, council members and Domer. Thank you for your time. First, I always open with the fact that I think the council is doing a great job, and we thank you. You guys are doing a big job, and I can imagine going home and always wondering what we're going to say. But today, good news, June the 6th. Is that right? June the 6th? Cassie's having a picnic at Coons Park, starting at 12 o'clock. We invite everybody to come. We're going to serve some hot dogs on the grill, have some games, and again, spread the word about Cassie. Because Laverne, as we're trying to put you on the map, our city on the map, as being a quality city, inclusive, respectful, and open to all kinds of thoughts, one way or another, red or blue, doesn't matter to us, come and say what you have to say. And we respect that, and we want to encourage the fact through this picnic of introducing again to the city a great group of people, a lot of people here tonight from Cassie, as you see an audience, and again, we appreciate the proclamation you gave Cassie tonight. So again, Owens Park on Saturday, starting at noon, and we'll go until the hot dogs are gone. So we appreciate you being there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ivey. Appreciate you, and God bless you for all your work you do in our community. All right. Any other announcements before I continue? Mr. Bowen, please step forward.
Evening, Council. Mr. Mayor, where's your bow tie? This is more of a recap. I just want to thank everybody who attended the LV3C Community Forum last Wednesday night. Steve Johnson, Ken Domer, Christy, you're out there somewhere. And who am I missing? Oh, Dave Bonanno, who was representing the fire department. Unfortunately, Bonita Unified did not send a representative, but we did have over 40-some people as attendees. And looking up here, I was astounded to see we had over 610 viewers. So people are watching, and it's really nice. We had 2.5 hours, variety of questions about a lot of things. Budget was a major deal. Obviously, the fire department issues that are up right now. But the budget and the bond issue, basically affordability. So I just want to thank you again for attending, and we look forward to having another one in the fairly near future. Thank you.
Outstanding, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, anyone else would like to have any other comment? Please. I'm sorry, I forgot your Rebecca. On. Whatever you like. Come on.
Good evening, City Council members and Mayor Pro Tem. So thank you, Gil, for the announcements, but I'm just here to follow up with more announcements. Cassie's been very active and busy these days, which we're very grateful for. But because of Laverne and the Route 66 Centennial exhibition, Cassie had a collaboration with one of the University of Laverne's Race and Ethnicity courses for their final presentation. So we had that held at Hillcrest last Tuesday, and it was exceptional. It went beyond our expectations. Community showed up. Our problem was we had too few chairs, so they had to bring more chairs. And it was just very phenomenal. There were community members from this very room who attended it, so we're very grateful. And we were doing that in terms of also, to spur on your Route 66 Centennial celebration right now, too. So we just wanted to give an update regarding that. And also with Cassie, we have our June monthly meeting tomorrow at 5 p.m. at the Hillcrest Citrus Room, along with the picnic at the park on June 6th. After that, there's also a Glendora Pride Fest if people want to bounce around many events. And then on June 13th, we are going to be a vendor at Pomona Valley Pride's Love Wins Festival at downtown Pomona. It starts at 4 p.m., I believe, Frank. Yes, so at 4 p.m. So since it's Pride Month, we want to celebrate all around. And I believe that concludes all the announcements in the upstate. So thank you so much for your time.
Outstanding. Thank you, ma'am. I believe I saw another hand on this side. No? Going once, going twice, no hands. All right, on this side. Nobody else. No other great announcements for our community. Okay. Well, thank you all for sharing your announcements. Now we'll move on to the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are routine and will be enacted by one motion unless a member of our city council or a member of our audience requests separate discussion or just wants to make a statement on one of the items. I believe we have one.
Yes, I'd like to pull item number 5.
Okay.
Item 5 was pulled also by a member of the public, too. So.
Outstanding. All right. Outside item 5, we have a motion to approve. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Vote.
Items 1 through 4 on the consent calendar by motion from Lau, seconded by Crosby, was approved 4-0 with Mayor Hepburn being absent.
Okay, thank you. Item 5 is the adoption of an ordinance related to the mobility devices and e-bikes was pulled from the consent calendar prior also by Mr. Bowen. Mr. Bowen, please ask Mr. Johnson. I don't know why I came here. All right. Johnson.
So yes, I do not like the idea of bicycles, especially e-bikes, on sidewalks. Sidewalks are for pedestrians. It's not in the vehicle code to have bicycles on sidewalks. And these bikes are heavy. They've got a big battery in them. They go fast. We've got little kids in a stroller or something. I don't want to see that turn tragic. So I do not support that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Comments?
Yeah, no problem. Anybody from the members of our public will have any comments on this one before we move forward? Mr. Bowen, do you have comments? Outstanding.
Evening, Council. I pulled this. Number 1 is just because I tried to read it all, and there's a lot of stuff here. But basically, for clarification, as per Steve just mentioned, and because of what happened last Friday, I don't know if everybody is aware of the kid that was riding it apparently on the sidewalk, westbound on the south side of Foothill on the sidewalk. He was heading west when he should have been heading east, according to these rules, and he crashed. And I talked to somebody in the know that was there, but knows, and says he suffered a broken arm and possibly some other injuries. I don't know if nobody heard of this, but he crashed just by himself, and he was riding, from what I was told, about 30 miles an hour. And so when I was trying to read this and read the Class 1, Class 2, Class 3, and I apparently have a Class 2 bike, but as per Councilman Johnson a minute ago, I could be on a Class 2 bike and ride it on the sidewalk down Foothill Boulevard. That seems a little crazy. Number 1, I want to make sure, I think e-bikes are very cool. When I was a kid, I hope I could have one. My parents couldn't afford it, I'm sure, and they would beat me if I ran over to somebody, so not physically beat me. But the idea of them riding on the sidewalk is scary. And I had a personal experience a couple of weeks ago. I was pulling out of a parking lot. I looked right. There was nobody there. I want to make sure nobody's walking. I looked left to make sure there's no traffic coming. Started to turn out into the parking lot, and out of nowhere, here comes this kid screaming down on a bike, and I almost hit him. I'm not sure if he would have hit me or I would have hit him, but I specifically looked over. So it's a scary proposition because they are 12 and 13. They're riding these bikes, and you can pass this, which I hope you do, but who's going to tell the 12 and 13-year-olds that they're riding their bikes and somebody's going to get killed? So I hope there is some provision in here. I see all the different, it can't propel itself by itself until it reaches 20. Who determines that? You see a kid riding a bike down the street. How do you know? How do you know he qualifies for Class 1, Class 2, Class 3? So I think it's great. I think we need to do something. It looks like it's going nuts. I see them on Foothill pulling wheelies down the street, and I hope the police have the people to do something and enforce this. And I did not see any fines. I guess there's fines associated in here somewhere, but I didn't see any dollars attached to it because, as we all know, mom or dad get a bill for a couple $100. They might have a different conversation with the kid. Okay? Thank you.
All right, outstanding.
Good evening, Council. Just to double up on that, I walk my dog everywhere, especially up and down Wheeler. There is no bike lane on Wheeler, but those bicycle, in my opinion, you pedal, you are the power. Anything with a motor is not a bicycle, it's a motorcycle. Tier 1, Tier 2, I don't care what it is. But if you see these kids, 12, 13-year-old kids, 14-year-old kids, they're 12, 13, and 14. That's it. I've seen adults, they have the helmets on, they're going the right lane, they've had experience on the road, they know to look out for things. Kids today do not have bicycles that they ride some of the time they're 5 years old, 6 years old, and get aware of what's going on and around them. We just don't have that kind of environment anymore. And I think because of that, you give them more power, and their 14-year-old brains, and it's not going to just be them like this young man that got hurt. It's going to be the mom pushing the stroller with the baby walking the dog. What do? Leave the baby? Let the dog go? How do you get out of the way? And I've seen it more and more, especially in residential areas, not just by schools. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else would like to turn the green shirt? Right after him.
Several people have spoken. One of the main things that will keep young people safe on e-bikes is visibility. They need to be seen. We've had bicycle incidents with cars in Laverne earlier this year. The statement from the driver was, I didn't see them. Hit them, didn't see them. And the intention is going to be that if you wish to have people safe on e-bikes, then they need to be seen. One of the problems that you're going to face is that if they're up on the sidewalk, there are trees, there are bushes, there are shrubs between the car sidewalk as a beautification of the city. It also blocks sight of the driver to the person riding the bike on the sidewalk. And as some people have said, the first time you realize that he's there is when they jump into the street. Now, if they're going to do it out of a driveway, they're going to go into the car lane because they can't make the turn around a parked car. And if it's at an intersection, they're going down the handicap ramp and they're zooming straight into the intersection at whatever speed they happen to have been on the sidewalk, which is potentially 20 miles an hour. The car is not going to have an opportunity to try to evade them if it jumps right in front of them. If they're on the street, though, you can see them from the car the entire time that the car is coming up to pass them. They know that they're there. So we keep all of our bikes riding in the street. It's safer because there's much better visibility. Cyclists, some of them wear very colorful garb in order to help become more and more visible. But having fast vehicles on sidewalks, suddenly appearing into a street, either at the intersection or at the driveway, that is where you're going to have a problem between the car and the. I remember 2 weeks ago at this meeting, there was a request for statistics. Show us the statistics of how things are going. I would submit that there are statistics in Laverne right now that if you pull up the number of incidents between cars and bicycles and you evaluated that data, you can make a determination of where problems occur. If they're occurring in the middle of a block, then, okay, maybe sidewalk is going to be safer. But if they're occurring at the intersections, then having an e-bike up on a sidewalk is not going to remove that. They're not going to make them safer as they're going into an intersection. So that would be something that you could look into and determine if all of the problems are in one kind of an area or another, or they're just spread everywhere. And that might give some additional information to help make a more informed decision.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, sir.
Tim Blockinger.
Tim Blockinger.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Sir, please come forward and state your name. Thank you so much.
Good evening. My name is Jim Grana. I personally don't believe the sidewalk is going to go far enough. So I live in Upper Laverne, where we have bike lanes on Golden Hills. Mm-hmm. The bike lanes are perfect for the bike riders who obey the law. The people that use our canyons, they wear protective gear. The young kids do not. What I fear is going to happen is twofold. Golden Hills is used as Golden Hills Raceway in the evening because I hear it every night. Right now, the sun is very blinding. So as they're driving very fast, going westbound on Golden Hills, you're not going to see those bikes. And what's going to end up happening is going to be a very tragic thing, which, you know, it's going to end up being loss of life. That's how I feel fear. I don't understand why we don't have laws that allow or stop these young kids from riding, as someone put it, a motorcycle. It is a motorcycle. And unfortunately, it's going to give other e-bikes a bad name. And that's not fair. It's not fair for the adults who have purchased an e-bike to ride legally. And these young kids who don't have any business being on a bike that goes as fast as they are is going to give e-bikes a bad name. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Outstanding. Anybody else would like to have? Ma'am? That's the part.
Good evening, Pam Berry. To go back to maybe a prior generation or two, we all remember the days of mopeds, and those had some hefty rules. I don't know with the e-bikes, is there a minimum age? Is there any kind of certification safety class requirement? Is there any kind of liability of the parents that they need to provide? I think those are really important things to put in place now, because I almost hit one of those. I was going down Foothill and getting ready to turn right on Wheeler, and I'm waiting for the vehicles. And just as I'm about ready to turn, this kid on the sidewalk comes blowing right past me, and fortunately I stopped. But it scared me terribly to think of what could have happened. Now, we don't even know, is there any kind of rule? Who's at fault for that? We need to know those things now, but it's not really about liability. It's about life. It's about risk. These are kids. And it's not, I know it has a lot of wording in there for mobility, and for adults, it is about probably more mobility. For kids, it's more recreation. And their brains are not quite ready for actually the reality of what could happen. And I really would like our city to be a leader in Southern California with putting safety first. I know there's a lot of people that say, well, they're just kids, let them have their fun. But we all know someone who lost a kid because they were having fun. And so safety needs to be there. Our city needs to be standing up and saying, we care so much about the kids in Laverne that we're going to make sure that, first of all, not only are the kids educated, there's a minimum age with requirements. The parents have to be educated, and they have to actually step up and provide liability. And then we also need to figure out, okay, but when there are these situations where a kid goes blowing by on a sidewalk and runs into somebody or goes into the street or crosses an intersection right in front of you, what are the answers to all those questions that come up? And for me, it's not just mothers on the sidewalk with their strollers. I have hit the age where when I'm walking and there's a lot of people zooming back and forth, I'm kind of careful because I can't turn and pivot quickly. I got a little bit of an issue with MS, and I can't just like, you're like, whoa. It's scary. It's downright scary, and I don't think of myself as being a chicken, but there are a lot of risks, and those bikes are heavy, and the momentum is not going to stop them. So, yeah, definitely, I'm with you as far as sidewalks, but I think we need to actually tie it up a lot tighter. So I really would appreciate some help on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barron. Anyone else would like to have a comment regarding this? All right, take it up to council. All right, seeing none. Let's bring out.
I'd like to bring up Chief up here. There were some couple questions about what is legal. People were saying about on the sidewalk, not on the sidewalk, that it's not legal to ride bikes on sidewalks, which I don't believe that is true. And so just want to clarify a couple of things that were brought up first.
Yes, definitely. First, I'd like to mention that I agree with a lot of the comments that were made up here today, in where we talk about adults who are obeying the rules of the road are going to do that. You will not find in the California Vehicle Code book law that prohibits bicycles on sidewalks. In fact, what it does say is that bicyclists must obey the rules of the road. So if they're on the sidewalk, and just like a vehicle or someone on the street must yield to pedestrians, they must. And a lot of what I missed your name, I'm sorry. Pam, what Pam said does make sense, which is in our ordinance today before you, as far as rules, what age limits, and things like that.
Can you say specifically about someone's making a right turn and someone's coming up on the right from you and going there? Who would be at fault?
So if you're making a right
cars have to yield to bikes, and bikes have to yield to people. But
correct. And so when making a right turn, you have to obey the rules of the road. So if they're traveling in the same direction, for example, if they were in the bike lane and the motorist turns in front of them, the motorist would be at fault. But to go back, when we looked at the whole data, we have empirical data that really talks to the safety of, and we look at it with probabilities, where the highest probabilities are for these types of accidents to happen. And the data that we pulled really shows that almost 100% of the accidents that have happened between bicycles and vehicles happen on the road. In fact, even the accident that happened on Friday happened on the grass. And the e-bike that was there is actually an e-motorcycle, which is illegal in this ordinance to ride and operate in Laverne. I'm going to be sensitive to it because the person riding it was a juvenile, so I'm not going to go into detail as far as too many of the things. But the juvenile was riding eastbound on Foothill Boulevard on the south side on the grass on an e-motorcycle when he went over the handlebars after hitting a little walkway there near the mobile home park. That's where it happened. But as far as the laws in the California Vehicle Code book, where most of our enforcement actions happen, there's nothing on there that prohibits bicycles on there. The only thing that does mention is that bicycles, like vehicles, bicyclists or operators of bicycles must obey the rules of the road, which is very similar to vehicles.
And someone asked about age limits. So
yes, in the ordinance itself, there are some age requirements, which The captain here has got it with him, and we can go over those again, which we did the last time. So if you have those with you, we can go over those. So there's 3 classes of e-bikes, Class 1, Class 2. Those go up to 20 miles per hour. The state of California consider those bikes.
And they're pedal assist.
And there is not an age limit for those particular bikes, although there is a helmet. Under the 18, you have to wear a helmet. The Class 3 bicycle, which goes up to 28 miles per hour, and it's restricted on the ordinance from being on the sidewalk, is a requirement to be 16 years of age or older to operate that bike, and must wear a helmet if under 18 years old.
And those are not pedal assist.
And those are typically not pedal assist. They require a speedometer, and it's when the pedaling stops it at 28 miles per hour versus when the throttle on those bikes. But the main difference between the classes is the speed.
And those are not allowed to be on sidewalks?
The proposed ordinance prohibits Class 3 bikes from being on the sidewalks.
And you have to be over 16 years old
to operate a Class 3 bicycle.
And do they allow, like, if any 16-year-old or above that's riding a motorcycle has to have a motorcycle license?
So,
has that gotten to that far where they have to have a motorcycle license?
Yeah, so when we hear that the e-motorcycles, that does require a motorcycle driver's license, car registration, and insurance to operate it on the roadway. And those would also not be able to operate on the sidewalks.
But those aren't the same as a Class 3?
They are completely different.
Okay, I just want. But again, the Class 3 e-bikes are not allowed to be on the sidewalk.
They're not allowed to be on the sidewalk. That's correct. They're allowed on the street with the direction of traffic, and they're allowed in the bicycle lanes. And where there is a bicycle lane, the Class 1 and Class 2 bikes have to be in that, opposed to the sidewalks.
And this ordinance also, if someone's riding recklessly, no matter age or types of bikes, they're doing wheelies, or they're flying by cars that are trying to turn right, they're coming fast and not going on the proper side, then they would be violating this ordinance as well.
That's correct. And that would be enforceable based on the ordinance.
And I know a couple of weeks ago, you caught some people riding in the park not obeying, and you called, and then you had their parents come to pick up their bikes as well. You just didn't give them a citation and said, okay, drive it and go home. You called them the responsible party, which is the parent, and I don't know if you cited them as well or not, but they had to then take those bikes away.
So thus far, we've been trying to educate our community on the use of the e-bikes. Obviously, we're going to continue to do that at the direction of the council, and then we're going to ramp it up into enforcement. And then I think one of our other community members asked about the fines, which I can talk about too. So there's 2 routes when it comes to how we handle the violations of the e-bikes. One is the city has the option to prosecute it as a misdemeanor. That is a lot more. That takes a lot more involvement with our city attorney, and it goes through the adjudication process. The second way, which we would probably see more common to occur, would be issuing an administrative citation, which the first violation would be a $100 fine. The second violation, I believe, would be a $200 fine, and the third violation being a $500 fine. And that's a civil.
Yeah. Could there be any waiving of the fine and going to classes or something like that? You know, when I'm driving too fast on the freeway, I have gotten pulled over in my past. I've learned from it because I had to go and do a class on that.
Yeah, the ordinance does provide for a e-bike operation course in lieu of the fine. And just to expand a little bit more, the misdemeanor route of the ordinance would be really reserved for those more serious circumstances where someone is seriously hurt, someone might be killed, something along those lines. And then the chief did mention the data, and just to expand a little bit more on why our recommendation is what it is since April 22 up until date, April 2022 up until today, we've had 0
bicycle collisions on sidewalks. They've all been on the streets.
Thank
And
God.
yes, please, knock on wood.
Yeah, thank God.
But the data does show that where our accidents are occurring in our community at the moment over the past years have been in the roadways, not on the sidewalks.
Thank you. My last thing is I know our JPIA, which is our city insurance that we go through, has made recommendation on this as well, as being the representative for the JPIA, that they stated that if we are forcing everyone onto the streets, kind of like Foothill, that if someone gets hit by there, then there could be a liability against the city because we're forcing them there as well, when it's not illegal to have them on the sidewalk, except the most extreme ones that are doing that, though, too.
But, yeah, and I'll defer to the city attorney a bit on the liability, but I think it's a balanced approach based on our community dynamics and the data that we've looked at over the past few years on how we address where we allow the e-bikes to operate. And if those dynamics change in the future, we may very well have to bring it back and look at that again. But as of everything that's telling us right now is that from a public safety perspective, we're going to save a lot more injuries and a lot more even potentially death by not restricting Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes from sidewalks based on the data.
Just like as we have bikes.
Just like we have on bicycles.
Okay. My last comment, sorry, thank you. I really do appreciate you bringing this to us. It's about time because these things have been growing. It's hard to catch up with technology because technology is moving so fast. And though the education that we need to give, starting at the elementary level and the middle school level to our families, especially before the holidays, Christmas time, when everyone's trying to buy those things and trying to be the cool parent because the other kids have it or everybody's got it, that we need to get that information out. And I know this past year you've been working on this with Bonita Unified and sending out parent square messages, sending out pamphlets and things like that. You also came to the WIFAC committee to help where Bonita Unified's on that committee as well to bring out information. I do think this is the right step to go for a first step. And if we do see stuff, then we can always go and change that step and make it different as well. But we need a first step to start. And we're not having any laws on the books right now. We don't have anything to enforce. And so by bringing this to the council so that we can enforce it, I do believe that what we cannot do is that if our police officers are seeing this, what I don't want our residents to say is that this kid was flying down the street, going crazy, doing wheelies, and a police car drove right by him. We need to enforce it. We need to stop them. We need to make sure that it is known that they can't do it. Now, I think we spoke about this 6 months ago when we first got up there. If I had one of these when I was a kid, this age, I had motorcycles, and I lived out in the countryside in a rural area, and we weren't allowed to ride the motorcycles unless our parents were there. But if they left, we rode the motorcycles as much as we could. We did not listen. I don't believe that I would be listening here too. That's why, as a parent, my kids don't have it and have never had one. We don't even have a scooter because I've seen the dangers of those things happening. But as parents, we need to be responsible for that as well, and we need to make sure that. But as a city, I think making a step forward is a proper step to do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you. Appreciate it. Steve-O?
Well, I live in a neighborhood where a lot of people like to walk. 2nd, 3rd Street, downtown, Old Town, whatever you want to call it. And people like to walk on the sidewalks. And to have an e-bike competing on a sidewalk doesn't make any sense at all to me. I can't support this ordinance. Thank you.
Wendy?
I don't want to belabor the point, but I think I just want to thank the police department for doing the deep dives, looking at what local communities are doing, looking at what's happening in our community, basing this initial ordinance on facts and data. I know that there's been anecdotes that have been shared, but I appreciate looking at the straight up numbers understanding what our insurer is asking of us or recommending to us is important things. I would echo that these are living documents. And to Councilmember Crosby's point, is that if there is a difference in the data, I know we've talked about re-examining where we are in 6 months and 12 months after enactment of this ordinance, we can change it depending on what's out there. But I would also say that, as much as we like to get down on the kids about, acting out and being kids without a fully functioning frontal lobe, frontal cortex, it's also on the adults in the community too. In terms of like when we're driving, we've got to be cautious about what's around us too. So I think as a community, we all have to do our parts to make sure that we can move forward. But I think from an enforcement standpoint, there's nothing on the books right now. And this is our first step. So I appreciate the thoughtfulness, the direction in which you took this when we talked about this previously. And I welcome the opportunity for us to revisit this as the enactment of this ordinance goes into effect. What are we seeing? What are the deterrents? And then just that continual education, because new kids, new parents, new toys. So as long as we keep that up, I think I'm in support.
Thank you, Wendy. I believe how long is this education piece? I think we talked about 6 months or 3 months.
I'd have to refer back to the minutes from the previous meeting, but there was council direction to go back and kind of reinstitute a time frame. And if it's either 30 or 60 days before we full education period, and social media campaigns and so forth, which we intend on doing, and so forth. And one thing that I do want to mention is that oftentimes, and forgive me if I forget the name of the committee now, it used to be the Active Transportation Committee. It has since been renamed. But
Transportation and Infrastructure.
Thank you, sir.
That part right there.
Oftentimes, these statistics are reviewed for these purposes, to look at the data and see how do we make our roads safer? How do we do these things safer? So these are consistently reviewed by committees as well.
So being that, I'd love to see is in media enforcement, we start impounding the bikes. No mistake. I don't want to ruin kids unless family egregious something that happens with willful intent to do some harm. But infractions are good. Impounding is even better, and maybe charging $100 a day for that. $100 a day. I believe the city of Burbank does that. They charge $100 a day. Keep that bike there. Well, we're gonna charge $200. I'm better than the city of Burbank until you pick up your bike, and we're gonna educate the hard way. So that's my 2 cents. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Just to as part of that education, we now have a live web page. So if you go to laverneca.gov/ebike, it's a whole bunch of information on e-bike regulations. It will address some of the issues in the ordinance. Talks about training, has a link to a highway patrol training. Talks about the enforcement, have some other graphics from the Office of Traffic Safety, all geared towards e-bikes, part of that education. So I want to make sure that folks understand that. And parents definitely, before they, buy an e-bike, or if they have an e-bike for their child, please take a look at it and, understand what the issue is.
Thanks, City Manager. Appreciate you as always. Okay, having completed our comments here, do I have a motion to approve item number 5, the adoption of an ordinance pertaining to regulated mobility devices?
So move.
Second? Go ahead and vote.
Motion for consent calendar item number 5 by Crosby, seconded by Lau. Approved 3-1 with Johnson dissenting and Mayor Hepburn being absent.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. Tonight, there is one public hearing, the Old Town Laverne Business Improvement District affirming annual report and levying assessment. I'd like to open the public hearing. Ask our good city manager to please call forward. And I see Mr. Schreier. Look at him. 6'4" and amazing. There you go, buddy. All right.
Good evening.
This is 6'4".
Yes, this is the at your last meeting on May 18th. The council approved the 2025-2026 annual report of the Old Town Laverne Business Improvement District. I might refer to it as BID the rest of this meeting, and declared the intention to levy the annual assessment for next fiscal year at tonight's meeting. The bid boundaries and the assessment formula have been unchanged since the creation of it in 1986. And per the California Street and Highway Code, an annual public hearing before the City Council must be held to accept any protest of the intended levying of annual assessments for the bid after declaring the time and place. After the hearing, the City Council may override any protests and order the services provided in the annual report and levy the proposed assessment to cover the costs and expenses as outlined in this report. Basically, all the businesses that are located within the district boundaries pay an assessment fee along with their annual business license, and those are the revenues that are collected to fund and support the bid's activity in Old Town. As the council is aware, since 2025, the private nonprofit group, the Old Town Laverne Business Improvement Association, has now acted as the direct district's advisory board and makes recommendations to the city council on the expenditure of those funds and special programming. But the association is now specifically responsible for putting on the events in Old Town on their own. So this next fiscal year, the budget for we expect that the revenues will be just over $25,000, and the expenses will match that. So it's basically a structurally balanced budget for the district reserve funds. The district reserves are expected to be at $110,000 at the end of next fiscal year. So at their May 4th meeting, the advisory board voted to recommend that the district not fund the 2027 Cool Cruise Car Show event, but instead they recommended programming that money towards physical improvements in Old Town. We currently have an agreement with the promoter for the car shows, which expires after this November's Cruise in Laverne Car Show. So the Cool Cruise event is typically held in the spring, so the next one would be spring of 2027. As that's not currently under contract, but it would fall with the next fiscal year, that was the recommendation of that advisory board. The city manager has identified potential grant funding that will pay for that promoter fee to ensure that the spring event car show still might happen, provided a new agreement is made with the promoter. But that will happen after the November car show, which is under the current agreement. So more to be said of that. Any future agreements with that promoter to move forward with an event in spring of 2027 would come back to the city council for approval, and there'd be more details at that time. So that's kind of a summary. The association held most recently the wine walk in April, and that was sold out. It was a very popular event. They are also starting to plan for the beer walk's return in September of this year as well. So they're active in doing those kind of events, including the holiday stroll at the beginning of December. With that, it's recommended that the City Council conduct the annual protest hearing, accept any protest, override any such protest, and adopt the attached resolution affirming the annual report and levy the annual assessments. I'd be happy to answer any questions if the council has any.
Or, because I may have to declare conflict here. My rental on 3rd Street, part of the district? Or
The property is located within the district boundaries, I believe, but it only applies to businesses. So since that's a residential property, there's no assessment on the property, and so I don't believe, Ms. Attorney, that you would have any conflict because you have own property in the district. But if you had a business in the district, then you would have a conflict.
Right. Shop, everything.
Thank you.
Wendy?
Just one comment before we move forward with any adoption of the resolution affirming the annual report. I just want to make sure that we make that one correction.
Right, yeah, the website in the annual report was the previous website, and since then the association has updated the website. So instead of .org, it's now .com, and so that was not fixed in this annual report, but it will be made sure in the next.
Yeah, so don't click it because it takes you to Indonesia. Don't ask me how.
Indonesia?
I have a couple questions, but I'll let
Please.
The resident members have the ability to.
And thank you, Mr. Appreciate you and all you do for our great city. At this time, are there any members of our public who would like to have comments? No member would like to talk. Okay, great. Back to you.
Question though, you said that they voted on not doing the Cool Cruise for the springtime. Do they make money off of the Cool Cruise? So is this as a fundraiser for them, at least some, or is this a negative balance that goes there, but it helps their businesses by attracting more people around?
Correct. So what I would say is that the association members didn't say they were opposed to the car shows. They were opposed to paying the promoter money to put on the car show. This, at one point, was a turnkey event where there was no direct payments to the promoter, but because of cost increases and under the negotiations for the agreements over the last several years, there had been a $2,000 payment for each car show to the promoter to help offset his cost with putting that on. So the only people that are paying to be part of the event are either the people that have their cars registering or the few vendors that set up shop in the streets for that day's event. There is obviously a big increase in foot traffic in Old Town Laverne, and so it definitely predominantly helps what I would say is the restaurants in Old Town because of that increased activity. There's really no way to track that, but we know that the restaurants like the car shows because it brings people in, and our hope is that it brings people to Old Town Laverne that haven't been there. Maybe they're not making a purchase that day or eating at one of our restaurants, but they hopefully would return in the future. So for the minimal cost, staff has been supportive of continuing the agreement with the promoter, but the district advisory board just doesn't agree with paying the promoter's fee as currently done through the agreement.
No, I understand that it's raised in the last like 2 years is when it went up. But unlike the wine walk or the beer crawl or whatever they call it, that is a fundraiser for.
Yeah, so the association will collect the dollars for those ticket sales for those events, whereas like the holiday stroll, which the association pays for all the costs for putting that on, that's a free event, so there isn't any revenue source. So the beer walk and the wine walk basically allow them to do ongoing promotions of Old Town, including the free events there.
Okay, thank you.
I like it. We have a walk, a stroll, now a crawl. Wendy?
So just for clarification's sake, the cars that register with the promoter and pay the fee to him?
Correct.
And then same with the vendors?
Correct.
And then who pays for the permitting, the security, et cetera?
So the agreement waives the special event permit fee for the promoter, but he does have to fill out that paperwork and provide the insurance. And then there are no charges under the agreement for city staff that work that day. So it's predominantly police officers as well as public works staff that are out there to help set up the road closures and the signs and the trash and all that stuff that goes along with that. There's also no parking signs that have to be posted along the portions of the street that are closed for that event, so that way it's open for the cars. So that's all subject to negotiation. So right now there is no cost, and as the council recently reviewed a new AR in terms of process for doing that. But these car shows have always been under an agreement. So those agreements have always come to council for approval of those agreements. So if the council wished to change that after this November 1, which is under this agreement, those would be negotiation points with the promoter, if the promoter is even interested in continuing, right? So, but right now, the staff costs are absorbed by the city.
Thank you.
What are those staff costs that's absorbed by the city?
So approximately, we estimate between $3,000 and $4,000. A lot of it's overtime cost, and so that's what's absorbed. So part of the whole budget process of reviewing all of the special events and activities that go on in the city, there are costs that take to put on these community events, especially ones when they're free events to the community. So, for example, we have a separate agreement for the wine walk events and the future beer walk that does require them to pay back towards staff costs because those are revenue generating events for them, right? So we have required that, but because the car shows are open to the public, at this point we haven't negotiated for the promoter to pay, and especially since the promoter's indicated that he couldn't put on the car show without the $2,000 payment towards him, or it wouldn't be worthwhile for him to do so, right? So if we saddled more of the staffing costs, then it most likely would mean that we wouldn't have a car show with that promoter. 6 years ago or so is when we did a full-out RFP to try to find a promoter when the previous one no longer was going to be doing it. And this promoter was one of the few ones that was the only one that responded. And so we've been under agreement with them since 7, 8 years now, maybe. And so there just aren't a lot of things. The car shows like these, organized ones, are kind of dwindling. He lives in this world. Now what's more popular is monthly coffee and cars, go to the local diner and to show up, and it's not a street closure with all the costs associated with it. So, he does make a modest income from having the events, but he also has to put a lot of work and time into promoting them and doing the registration and everything else. So
I think it's an amazing event. I think it brings the community together. I have loved seeing this since I was a kid, going checking it out, and probably still some of the same cars that were there. Still young, but that's another story. But I like to, as long as it benefits our community, that's all I care about. As long as it helps our downtown folks, gets the people together, sometimes to escape whatever's going on in this world, and maybe come out and enjoy some amazing cars. I'd like to continue that.
So I'd expect we'd have if everything's agreeable with the promoter, to be back before you at the beginning of the calendar year in 2027, in advance of car show in the spring, with more details.
Outstanding. Thank you, Eric.
And just appreciate Craig Waters. I know he's online listening right there. His name up. Thank you for what you do for this association.
Yeah, we see you, Greg. I always call him Greg. He always corrects me and calls me Greg. Love you, Craig. Keep it up. All right. Let's hear.
Motion?
Yes, please. You like a motion?
Motion to approve Old Town Laverne Business Improvement District affirming their annual report and leveling assessments.
Any second?
Second.
Please vote.
Item 6, motion by Crosby, seconded by Johnson, approved 4-0 with Mayor Hepburn being absent.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you all. All right. Tonight, there are 4 items on the discussion calendar. The first is to discuss and give a direction regarding Measure GG to support paramedic and ambulance transport services, the 2026. City Manager, can you please call forward the staff member? I see him coming. Our good fire chief. There he is. All right. Outstanding.
Sorry about that. I was
no problem, Chief.
There.
You did a great walk, by the way. That was phenomenal.
Ready to go.
100%.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, and I'm sorry, not the Mayor's not here tonight. Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Tonight, I'm requesting direction from the City Council regarding whether staff should move forward with developing a potential ballot measure related to Measure GG. As outlined in the staff report, Measure GG was approved by Laverne voters in 1980 and implemented in 1981 to provide dedicated funding source for paramedic services. Over the last 45 years, emergency medical services have evolved substantially, resulting in increased service demands, higher personnel costs, more sophisticated medical equipment, expanded regulatory requirements, and significantly greater operational complexity. So the purpose of tonight's presentation is to provide a brief overview of the current financial condition of our EMS system, demonstrate the value that system provides to our residents, and seek council direction regarding whether staff should return with a more detailed proposal. Measure GG has served as a dedicated funding source for emergency medical services for 4.5 decades. When voters approved Measure GG in 1980, the city contracted with a private provider for paramedic services. Today, we operate a significantly more advanced system that includes firefighter paramedics, city-operated ambulance transport services, multiple advanced life support response units, and highly trained personnel capable of delivering critical emergency medical care throughout the community. The discussion tonight is not whether EMS services are important, rather, it is whether the existing funding structure continues to provide sufficient support for the level of service our residents expect and deserve. Staff is seeking direction regarding whether to further evaluate options that would allow Measure GG to continue supporting a modern emergency medical service system into the future. Today, Measure GG generates approximately $1.06 million annually. In addition, EMS billing generates approximately $1.7 million in net revenue each year. Together, these two revenue sources provide approximately $2.76 million annually toward the cost of providing paramedic and ambulance transport services. The estimated annual cost of providing these services is approximately $3.8 million. As shown in the graphic, this leaves approximately $1.04 million in annual EMS costs without a dedicated revenue source. Another way to look at this is that the current EMS revenue fund funds approximately 73% of the program, while approximately 27% must be supported through the general fund. While these revenues remain substantial, they have not kept pace with the actual cost of providing modern emergency medical services. As service demands and operational costs continue to increase, the gap between revenue and expenditures is expected to continue growing. The common question is why this gap exists. The answer is the cost of emergency medical services has increased at a significantly faster rate than general inflation. Since 1981, the Consumer Price Index in the Los Angeles County region has increased by approximately 300%. During the same period, medical care costs have increased approximately 700%. In addition to medical inflation, EMS agencies have experienced substantial increases in personnel costs, healthcare costs, pension obligations, ambulance replacement costs, medical equipment, pharmaceuticals, training requirements, and regulatory mandates. As a result, although Measure GG has increased over time through its escalation mechanism, it has not kept pace with the actual costs associated with delivering modern advanced life support and ambulance transport services. Simply put, Measure GG has gradually lost its purchasing power. While tonight's discussion focuses on funding, it is equally important to understand that the community receives what the community receives in return for that investment. Over the past several years, the fire department has implemented strategic deployment modifications, expanded ambulance operator program, enhanced performance monitoring, and invested heavily in training and system improvements. The results are reflected in our CARES report data, which tracks outcomes for cardiac arrest patients and serves as one of the most meaningful indicators of EMS system performance. So prior to our current deployment model, the number of times where we received pulses back on cardiac arrest victims was at a rate of 14.8%, which was below county, state, and national levels. Today, that metric has improved to 33.3%, so more than doubled, significantly exceeding county, state, and national performance levels. Most importantly, survival outcomes have also improved dramatically. Survival to hospital discharge has increased to from 3.7 to 11.1%. The CARES data demonstrates that the investment made by this council and the community are producing measurable, meaningful improvements in patient outcomes. This slide provides several examples of potential revenue levels that could be generated under different Measure GG assessment amounts. The current assessment is of $6.90 per month, generates approximately $1.06 million annually. It's important to point out that it started out in 1981 at $1.75, and it's only gone up $5.45 years per month. So that escalation factor just has not kept up with inflation. So for comparison purposes, an assessment, if we updated it to $12.50 per month, would generate approximately $1.92 million annually. Increasing it another $1.50 to $14 per month would generate approximately $2.15 million. And if we increased it all the way to $15, it could generate approximately $2.3 million annually. These figures are provided solely for discussion purposes and to demonstrate the relationship between potential assessment levels and revenue generation. If directed by council, staff would return with a much more comprehensive financial analysis, including projected revenue impacts, legal considerations, community outreach recommendations, and potential escalation mechanisms tied more closely to actual EMS costs. So tonight, staff is requesting direction regarding whether to proceed with development of a potential Measure GG ballot measure. If directed, staff will return with detailed revenue projections and all the necessary information. Staff would also evaluate escalation mechanisms designed to better reflect the actual cost of providing emergency medical services over time. Ultimately, the objective is to preserve local control of emergency medical services, maintain the high level of services our residents expect, and continue achieving the positive patient outcomes demonstrated in our CARES data, and reducing the growing impact on the general fund. So thank you for your consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate you. I'll start. All right.
I wanted to make a comment and then go to public before I have more questions. Just want to make sure clear, we are not voting on this tonight. We are only given direction. And then when we do bring it back, I would request that we bring it back twice, so that one, we bring back information and go through that, and then we take a vote on that afterwards. Is this kind of, but I will go and ask a lot more questions after we get input from the public.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Yes.
I'll go open up to right now to members of the public who'd like to have any comment on this topic regarding Measure GG. Sir, please go and step forward.
Good evening. I've lived here since '83, so I guess it was implemented, a year before that. I don't want to be using it in the future, but I assume maybe one day I will. Curious, how many residents did we have in 1982 when it started? We have about 32,000 today. So
I'll chat GPT it.
We had a lot less back in '82 than we do today. We had a lot more trees, a little more citrus coming from them.
Thanks. Do we have a number by any chance? I know it's a long time. Anyway, it's a lot. So obviously,
the population of Laverne actually it was 23,508 according to Google.
So about
AI.
50% up.
Right now we're about 32,000.
Yeah, so roughly. Do we keep numbers on repeat visits? In other words, if I used it 5 or 6 times a year.
No, I think that's covered under HIPAA law.
Pardon me?
That's protected under the law. I don't think we have data that
We
regarding
wouldn't keep records of how many
multiple visits. No,
because it's one thing. It's like we were talking earlier: first violation, second violation. It's great, but if you're using it as your personal ambulance service routinely, that has a big effect. And again, I don't dispute it's a great program, but it also depends on how it's worked. Emergency versus routine. And lastly, I wanted to ask about the care numbers. Care numbers look great. How many is that? Is that 10 visits? Is that 100? Is that? Yeah.
After we're all done.
After we're all done, we'll bring it back to you, Chief, to answer some of these great questions.
But,
Thank you.
I mean, I love the program. Like I said, hope I don't need it.
Hope we all don't need it, but God bless. God bless those that serve and help our community. Anybody else? Come on forward. What's your name, ma'am?
Patricia Sweetman.
Thank you, Patricia.
I have a question for people. Is this service only for residents, or does it extend to visitors, family, beyond that?
Thank you.
Pardon me?
Your question is being picked up when they're at your house.
What? Yes. Well, I hope they're not just driving to the city to take advantage, but some people might too.
We'll get you that answer. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Ms. Berry, please step forward.
Mine is more a question based on the graphs. There was a blue part and then there was an orange part, and that was EMS billing. I'm not understanding what EMS billing is versus the blue part.
Outstanding. Okay. Seeing no other question, Chief, can you please come on up and answer some of these great questions? Thank you.
So to answer the question as far as the number of patients that were cardiac arrest, that number for the past 5 years of the CARES report has hovered right around 27. So 27 full arrests per year.
Oh.
So that's what those numbers reflect. One of the years it was slightly lower. I think it was 25. We've had 1 year, I believe, with 29, but there's 5 years of data that show that. We've always hovered right around that.
Absolutely.
As far as the billing question for residents versus non-residents, so as part of our, I believe it was in 2003, which is when the City Council passed, what gave us the ability to bill even if the person receiving care was a resident, that we could attempt to bill their insurance. no matter what, if the insurance declined it or if they didn't pay the full amount, the rest of that amount was written off. For non-residents, no matter what, if they drive into the city, they get a full bill. So the only people that qualify for not paying for those transport services personally out of pocket are actual residents of the city. And those numbers for the Measure GG is based off of about 12,800 units within the city. So that's meters or homes or however it's broken down. So the other question as far as the graph so there's the revenue that comes in from Measure GG plus the 1.7 or $8 million that we get through our billing process. So that was those combined amounts.
So the blue is Measure GG, and
let me look at
and the orange is what we charge people's insurance companies for their visit.
The blue was Measure GG, the orange was the billing, yes. With a combined total was 2.67. Yeah, 2.7.
Thank you, Chief. Bring it back up to our council.
So does Measure GG, the way it's written, because I don't know, for the amounts that don't get covered through the $6.90 a month and the part that isn't recouped via insurance, that's a write-off, but that's a cost to us. There's no other alternative to say we're going to direct bill someone.
We don't pass the rest of that remaining bill on to the resident that is paying it, or that's part of it.
So then what we're seeing is it's a cost to the city if we don't do a Measure GG because we're covering that cost under the purview. So that's coming out of general fund? Where is that coming out of? Out of general fund. Thank you. That's a yes. The head nods a yes. Thank you.
Impact to the general fund, yes.
So it's an impact to the general fund. And the alternative is these potential increases so that we are all covered. And if there is insurance, that makes up the balance of it. But that ideally, we're not continuing to pull out of the general fund.
Right. The goal would be to make up that difference to get us there and then have a correct escalating measure that keeps up with the pace every year.
And in your experience, have you had people who are just taking free rides in the ambulance for fun?
There are occasions where that happens, but not, it's obviously we have repeat patients
who have health
we
issues.
Who have health issue. Yeah. We have people that may abuse the 911 system, but we now have resources for that, with our CARES team and things like that, where we can refer them to those resources.
Versus just going into the ambulance that
we send them to the hospital and they just kick them, they do what they can and they put them back out. So we're trying to get them further help to reduce that.
Okay, so we are looking at ways to identify that issue. And
we have, and that's what the PD is operating that program right now. Yep.
Thank you.
Understandable. All right. Steve?
Years ago when we first implemented the insurance billing, I was on the dais at that time. My research into it being an insurance broker was insurance companies don't give you any kind of a discount because we live in Laverne and we have this amazing service. So going after that extra revenue to keep this a viable program, I have no problem with the insurance billing. And I know there are some residents that are, taken aback when you ask for what, your insurance when they're getting into the rig or whatever. But it is a cost measure that we do recoup some of the funds, and it allows us to have service at such a high rate quality. So I'm all for it.
Even when it was implemented in 2003, when they started billing insurance, the projections were it was still a shortfall off of what Measure GG and that revenue was going to bring in. It's never caught up, even back then. It's still behind.
How many? You might not know this answer either. of our cities around us that has any kind of program like this?
So cities do it in different ways. They'll either do a paramedic tax, they'll do it as a paramedic subscription program, to where if you would like to be part of the program and you pay for it, it includes your household and everyone in your house. And basically you pay a certain amount, a yearly amount, whether it be $175, $200, whatever that amount is, you pay a year, you don't get an ambulance bill. But it's a voluntary program.
Mm-hmm.
It's you go out, you offer these subscriptions to the citizens, and they either buy into it or they don't. But if they don't buy into it, they get the full bill.
Yeah.
So there are.
And so our program is not, it's not unique, but it's not around a lot everywhere.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
Cities implement different
Yeah.
ways of doing it.
In Laverne, we do have a high population of retired people.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe this is a very good service for our people and for a nominal cost, for $697 a month for people that live in your house. Again, Mr. Bowen said we don't want anybody to have that, but it is when you get that bill, and we didn't have this program, it's crazy through the roof. Of people wouldn't be able to pay, most likely, on that. So, but we are going to be our next discussion about budget.
Yes.
And so by bringing this up as well is going to be stuff. And I hear throughout the community about raising rates on anything, but we need to make sure that we have our services. And I believe our fire department is doing a great job, especially in medical care. Isn't it about 98% of all of our calls medical?
I don't know the exact percentage. I can get that for you, but it is in the high 80s.
High 80s.
90 percentile. Yeah, I would say it's in that 90%.
So most of our calls every day is about medical calls.
It is.
Rather than any fire-related calls.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, but what I would like to see coming back, because I know this is really direction, is where we are getting to be able to break even on that so that we can keep up the cost. And if I would like to hear back from residents as well, if they don't believe that this cost is worthy, then a subscription piece too. But I do believe that's not the right way to go. But I just want, if people are complaining about any of the cost of it, as you looked in the graphs that you put up, it looks to me to really try to break even is almost doubling the cost what it is now. Right about to the $14 a month rather than the $690 it is now to almost break even for this program. So I just want to make sure that's stated out there as well. A double meal is about that once a month as well. Not that I know that for sure.
It is. I'll agree with
which
that.
might make my cost of needing this later on in my life a little more prevalent as well. But sorry, not to joke about this subject, but it's a real serious subject to have. But also is the budget subject as well, to have though too, and having a program where we're giving back, we are providing for the residents is a costly program. So just want to make sure those costs are there too. And so my direction would be to really hear back from residents, one, what they are looking at and wanting to do. But if we are going to continue the program of raising it, but then you said something at the very end, which I appreciated, is that the CPI costs don't rise the same as this medical program.
Yeah.
And I know there's a health CPI as well. Can you discuss that a little bit, Mr. Domer, about those rates or stuff?
Yeah, generally what it's been used is the universal, the CPI-U, which is for the LA area, and that looks at multiple different factors. For example, with our refuse contract, they look at what refuse and trash hauling and all that stuff for that CPI. There is a medical services that looks at medical services, lack of a better term, but doctor's office visits, everything like that, cost of medical equipment. Some of the things in early research is looking at the cost of actually the paramedic services as a component of a medical services CPI and looking how that could be blended so that, again, we're not getting far off and have to come back for another increase, but that those costs maintain with what the expenses are. So probably if directed, we will look at both those methodologies, looking at the health services index, but then also looking at that in conjunction with some type of, okay, what are the actual personnel expenses for paramedic services?
And lastly, this is not a cancel decision, but it's a ballot decision. And what happens if it's put on the ballot, and what is the percentage to pass, and then what happens if it did not pass on the ballot as well?
I do know that it takes 4/5 vote to put it on the ballot. As far as the assessment, I'm going to turn that over to the city attorney.
It is an assessment. It is not a tax. So technically, as an assessment, it should only require 50% plus one.
Wendy?
So then my questions and my direction would be to look at this in terms of, I know on here it says that the billing that we've received totals the 2 million or 1.
Should be
1.9?
1.7. It's usually around 1.7 or 1.8.
I'd like to know what is our success rate with getting insurance to pay, and if there are other measures that would potentially increase that amount, because that would weigh into potentially what the council might direct as an appropriate amount to raise it to. I know you've put down a couple of different numbers here, 12, up to $12.50 a month, 14, 15, but I'd like to know if there's any ability on our end to push on the insurance recoup, the ability to get the reimbursement from the insurance, and if there are other measures to increase that pot of money versus putting it all at the foot of the residents. I think, similar to what Councilmember Crosby says, we can explore the subscription model, but I don't think that that's in the spirit of what this community is about. I think that leaves the most vulnerable of our population, those on fixed incomes, not being able to get the care and the service that they need. And I don't think that's healthy for the individual, and I don't think that's healthy for the community. But I would like to know what we can do about the insurance portion of it. And then, again, similar to the CPI discussion, what else would we need to put into the ballot measure if it were to be put on the ballot? What's the wording in terms of keeping track so that we don't look at where we are now, 40 years from now, that we haven't kept up as well as we could. And maybe there is no best answer for that, but I'd like to, with the benefit of history and past experience, how could we forestall that a little bit? And I think that's about it. I think I will say, and I people have heard me refer to this in the past. I did have to take a not for fun trip in an ambulance in 2021. And I know that had I had to pay for it, it would have been vastly over the $82.80 I paid that year to take that ride to Pomona Valley. So I think putting that into perspective too is helpful. And if my investment in that helped send someone who needed to go to the hospital, I think of that as someone's mom or dad or son or daughter. And so I think that's part of the analysis that I'd like to see woven into the discussion when we do come back with it. I think my last thing would just be in terms of timing. I believe in the report, it indicates that if this were to be put on the ballot measure in time for the November election, we'd have to do this. It would have to go to the Los Angeles County Registrar and Recorder prior to Friday, August 7th. And I agree with Councilmember Crosby that if we're going to bring this back twice to have, the opportunity for the public to come back and give us their thoughts and their, input, and for us to really be intentional and meaningful about how we make this decision, I think we need to look at the timing of our meetings, because I think July, that first meeting in July is
already canceled.
So we're already down one. So I just want to be sure that we're adhering to that if we are looking at trying to get this on the November ballot. So if we could, that would be my direction.
Yeah, just real quick on that. Given that direction, if we do bring this back, informational would be July 20th, and then for action would be August 3rd, which would be the last date to do it.
August 7th is the deadline, right?
Yeah.
So that'd be that Monday. It would be that Monday would be the August 3rd meeting, and then out the door
by
prior
Wednesday.
Prior to the 7th.
Prior to the 7th.
Okay.
It is interesting to look at the records as far as the trips that you make and to what areas in town those trips go to. Typically, the senior centers, whether it's Hillcrest or mobile home parks or those concentrations of more elderly, not that that's going to help in getting this passed overall, but I think if we're going to put this on the ballot, we really need to talk to those people in those communities because it's a denser population to get them on board with it.
Absolutely.
Well, anyone, so I'm just reminded at the time I was a younger officer, and I remember a lady that was not in our community, somewhere else, and the ambulance was there to pick her up. There was an incident. Long short of it, I remember her saying, "I can't afford to go on an ambulance." I've never forgot that in over 20 years. I've never forgot that. And for the fact that we have a community here of amazing firefighters and paramedics that respond to service, regardless if it was a young kid that went airborne over his handlebars, God bless him. I'd still be in a body cast, but he's young and he'll bounce right back. But because we have the quality and care and response to be able to get them. And looking here, even in our CARES report that we showed that we have exceeded in 2025 performance for state, regional, and national benchmarks. That's outstanding. And furthermore, the survival rate that we have is 37%, exceeding any other community. I applaud that. I'm talking 37%. That's somebody's brother, that's somebody's mom, that's somebody's sister, that's someone's family member that got there. And they get to go home, and unfortunately, some haven't. Having said all that, I believe you got your direction, Chief. You're a good man and a great leader, and I hope that you continue to bring back to us something that we can definitely look forward to putting on the ballot in this August 7th, 2026. So is there a motion to provide direction to staff on whether to bring back the necessary resolutions and documents to place an amendment to Measure GG on the November ballot? Our residents have the ability to vote on this important issue?
No, if there's consensus that... Yeah.
Consensus there? Directions provided?
We will look to bring it back on July
Outstanding.
20th.
Thank you.
All right.
Can we, though, bring it back in the next meeting in June, just so that more people are just talking about it? I don't want it to bring back, hey, this is what we're doing. I'd rather it being discussed more than not. So if we can have it at our next meeting, just to have more discussion and people want to come in.
Just as a
agenda item
with any, we can do that. So it would be on the next June 15th as a discussion item. Perfect.
That would be
just
great.
more
we'll
direction.
start trying to put, just so the council knows and the public knows that the agenda deadline for that meeting is tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
So
Glad we said
we'll
tonight.
extend, the opening of the agenda, but we'll put together, and it will be another opportunity for public comment. But that on the July 20th meeting, we'll actually try to, weed together all that information, have the appropriate documents, have that for the first time, so that again everybody can look at what the package is, and then come back on August 3rd with a final consideration if that's the
But
direction.
just like if any residents out there want to discuss this, to have input for that direction, to come next meeting.
And what we can do real quick, again, the webpage is always a good thing. We'll look to push something out there.
Thank you.
That, provide your comments, provide any information. Here's what Measure GG is right now. Here's what we're looking at. Here's the direction so far. Here's the date of when we're going to be bringing things back. And then have that survey or a comment ability so we can start collecting information from there too.
Yeah,
So,
I was just going to ask if you could get our social media mavens to some of this stuff
I'm
out.
sure Andrea is listening.
Great.
She's going,
Thanks, Andrea.
Outstanding. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate you.
Jen's going to be welcome.
All right, the next item on the discussion calendar is the fiscal year 2025-26 third quarter budget review. City Manager, please present forward our amazing staff member who will be
bring
reporting.
forward our Finance Director, Christy Lopez.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. Don't forget it. Tonight I bring to you the third quarter budget update. And at mid-year, departments projected that operational budgets would generally be fully expended by fiscal year end, and estimates for personnel were anticipated to exceed the budgeted amounts. Current third quarter estimates continue to reflect expenditures exceeding revenues, with the general fund continuing to trend at mid-year approximately $300,000 over budget. There is a chart in the report which shows the department personnel budgets, and that is where we are seeing the over budget of about $300,000. And included with the current projection of that $300,000 is approximately $402,000 in vacation payouts that are associated with employee retirements, separations, and promotional payouts. Historically, these larger accrued leave payouts have been funded using reserves assigned for future benefit obligations. Finance staff does anticipate bringing one additional financial update to the City Council following the close of the fourth quarter. If final year figures continue to exceed revenues and the overage remains primarily attributed to these accrued leave payouts, staff may request authorization from the City Council to utilize assigned reserves previously established for this purpose. And while I don't want to ask for any appropriations at this time, the reason for that is that our operational budgets, so non-personnel, are currently trending a little below budget. However, all of the departments have identified that they will be expending all of these funds. And so I won't be able to know for sure if everything has been expended really until the end of the accrual period, which is in August. So there is a possibility that if a department has a large expense that they don't pay until the end of the fiscal year, that we haven't seen that yet. And really just due to the timing of the budget, and since we just had mid-year and asked for those figures, we have not asked the departments to go back and look through their operational numbers again to do another check. So I don't want to ask for appropriations. I think it's a little preliminary for us to do that, but I do want to alert council that there is a possibility because right now we are trending about $300,000 over budget based on the estimates. The rest of the third quarter budget review, there are no general fund or broad general fund operational appropriations. I am including $57,000 for fuel modification activities. This was identified in the May 4th agenda item as an item that we would be bringing back in third quarter, asking for additional appropriations. And we are utilizing some FEMA money that we received, and we didn't anticipate receiving that. FEMA money, sometimes it comes in a year, sometimes it takes two. And so we didn't budget for that. So we're utilizing those to fund the remainder of the fuel modification that we did need to do, and we were short on that budget. The additional amounts that we are including for the other funds is about $2,000 in the Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District, $115,000 in Measure A, $16,000 in the Fire Equipment Fund, and then $32,000 in the Miscellaneous Grants Fund. A lot of these items are offset by revenue because they are related to grants that we got after we had the mid-year budget, and I need to ask for appropriations for them. Staff recommends council approve a resolution amending the fiscal year budget for 25-26 to adjust for the third quarter budget adjustments, and I am available for any questions.
Thank you, Christina. I'll start with members of our public who'd like to come forward to have any questions regarding this topic. Seeing and hearing none, I'll move it up to Great Council. Start with you, Ricky. Ricky Bobby.
Thank you. And thank you for really keeping us. And just understanding my world in schools, we also have a July through June, but we close our books in May so that we get all of our crew done in June, so we have to have that done there. But in this, what I'm hearing that is not done in the cities, it's still, you're still spending on this year's budget sometimes in next year's time frame.
Correct. We have a modified accrual period that is 60 days for regular activity and actually 180 days for grants.
Okay. We'll find all those grants, as many as you can. Keep looking.
Andrea's doing a great job. Yes. Keeps us busy.
And just want to make sure, heard from the last meeting. Oh no, this is for next discussion. Sorry. Thank you. Appreciate going over that third quarter. I thought we were going into budget, and I'm not ready to start talking about though. So appreciate that.
Soon enough.
Thank you. Appreciate you. All right. Is there a motion to approve the resolution titled "The Resolution of the City Council, the City of Laverne, California, amending the fiscal year 25-26 adopted budget to adjust for third quarter budget adjustments"? Say that 3 times.
Approve.
Thank you. Second. Go ahead. Hey, Steve. Yeah, yeah, Steve.
This is item number 8. Motion by Crosby, seconded by Johnson. It was approved 4-0 with Mayor Hepburn being absent.
All right, thanks. Okay, thanks so much. All right. The third item is the follow-up of the fiscal year 26-27 draft budget presented on May 18, 2026. City Manager, we have our lovely Christy up again. Please, thank you.
Yes, of course. I'll do it one more time. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Pro Tem, and City Council. Tonight, I am bringing forth a report as a follow-up to the May 18th budget study session where Council requested additional information on the details of the remaining $233,628 deficit. This chart here is from the presentation and lists the items that are under discussion. The follow-up report is intended to provide additional transparency regarding further reductions that could be incorporated into the proposed fiscal year 2026-2027 draft budget and to identify the potential operational and service impacts associated with those reductions should they ultimately be. The first item is the part-time administrative support position. One position is an existing vacancy that has been identified in administration department, while the other is currently filled. And so if there was direction to eliminate this position, we would have to look at notifying that position if we wanted to, and so we're not releasing that information. And that reduction could result in slower response times for resident and visitor inquiries, delays in processing paperwork and filing activities, reduced administrative support capacity for departmental operations, reduced flexibility during peak workload periods, and increased workload demands on existing full-time personnel. The next item is a review of the special event costs in the Parks and Recreation Department.
Parks and Rec.
So while not included as a proposed budget reductions, these were items that we had included as looking at additional direction from council. And so staff was asked to provide more information on the various Parks and Recreation Special Events program during the year. This updated table, and there's one that is even more detailed within the report, outlines the estimated expenses, personnel costs, revenues, and overall city subsidy associated with each event. In general, these events provide significant community benefit and enhance quality of life for residents, therefore contributing to the betterment of the city. And while we understand that they do operate at a net cost, we are trying to look at whether there are other potentials to maybe increase sponsorship opportunities in order to reduce that cost to the city. The other opportunities would be to increase the per person cost, so increase the cost to attend those events if there is a cost, and to collaborate with external partners to reduce costs. So there's a lot of information in this report. I think it's like 9 pages. And really looking at getting some additional direction from council. However, because I think it could be really just a three-pronged approach where we look at possibly increasing costs as well as maybe even reducing some of the costs that are associated with it. And I know that's the Parks and Rec director has in the past, mentioned stuff as far as like Winter Wonderland, reducing the number of sled runs that they have. So they have started doing that kind of stuff, but we could look at doing those kind of adjustments to just modify the event, not necessarily stop the event, but modify it.
I do like what you just said, too, about sponsorships, where if we have local businesses that want to put up signs during these events where there's more people that are going there to them, if looking at that to help curb the costs and things like that. So
I'll just add a bit of background and fun context on that one, because I sit on the 4th of July committee and we are heavily dependent on sponsorships. We've had declinations from quite a few businesses that have routinely given in the past years, and these are a lot of the same businesses that also get hit up for concerts in the park, for Winter Wonderland. Yeah, for everything. So I think as you're seeing the economy and the climate change, it's not just affecting individuals, it's also affecting small businesses and businesses in general. So I am all for trying to identify those sponsorships, but I think the reality is that we are not in a climate where that's going to be the answer, not by itself. I do think that thinking about modifying some of these events would be worthwhile thinking about. Do we do as many concerts in the park? Do we do less of them? Is it every other week and not every weekend? Is Excellent Adventure as much fun as it is? I keep getting told that it ends really fast because, once the eggs are gone, the eggs are gone. So is there a way to maybe partner with the chamber and the eggs are hidden in businesses and it's a way to drive people into businesses and have those businesses have a certain number of eggs? I don't know. But I think if we're looking at... My wife says the diamond shop. Find yeah, you're going to go to the diamond shop and you're going to have to find something for her. But I do think, I get that these are very important things for the community. I don't know that outright getting rid of them it's not going to make people happy. But we are in the position that we're in. And so I would say, how do we change how we look at those things? I know that some of the other adjustments we talked about were the cleaning of Veterans Hall, potential participation fees, which I know that doesn't make people happy necessarily, but it's that, or if it was the choice between paying a nominal fee to participate in something versus not having the event at all, I think that's a consideration. So
I like to see the opportunity, maybe combining some. I'm looking at some of the stuff like that's combined with like Winter Wonderland and have brunch with Santa there at Winter Wonderland as an example. If that can be reduced. I like to see a combination of some maybe have other partnership, such as a senior dinner dance, and isn't that through Bonita Unified School District, or no?
No, this is different.
Senior citizens. I'm thinking
citizens.
senior. Hey, that's awesome too. Well, we'll figure something out about that.
But the luau dance and the sweetheart
I
dance
swear, I thought that
is
senior
part of
dinner.
our inclusions, which we do have some grant, but it's also cost for the people that participate as well. That's why those are.
I just
less
dined
money.
myself out for never attending the senior dinner dance. Is basically what just happened. Thank you
But
so
I think
much.
you still have a little more to report
That's
on
it.
as well.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
Sorry, because we got that thought process going,
That's
and
okay,
there
no
you
problem. So the next item is the Veterans Hall cleaning and maintenance reduction. And under the proposed operational adjustment, recreation staff would continue providing cleanup services associated with facility rentals where staffing and post-event cleanup are already incorporated into rental fees. Existing staff would absorb additional routine maintenance responsibilities, including trash removal, restroom upkeep, and general facility cleaning associated with preschool programming, recreation classes, meetings, and daily operations. And Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 12034 would assist with cleanup and general upkeep associated with its designated areas and events conducted with the facility. And I think this is a great option that Yvonne, the director, has brought forward as a shift, and we can still get what we need while really taking this in-house, and then also looking to our partners that are utilizing the facility to also contribute. The final item
Can I ask
is, yeah, of course.
Can I ask a question about Veterans Hall? So I know it's city property, and the veterans have use of some of the space all the time, correct?
Yes.
And so what, are they paying fees for
No.
utilization of that space?
No, and from what I understand, and Yvonne, please jump in if you need to, but from what I understand, they also utilize the rest of the facility, and that's the portion that also needs to be maintained once they're finished using the large portion of the facility.
Is that, do we know if that's common, thank you, amongst other cities that have a veterans hall?
I will bring up the expert.
Okay. Question.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. So that is not common. There's typically a rental associated fee, monthly fee, or an agreement. So one of the things that we already started is to put agreement together with the VFW post and kind of outlining everything, because they do utilize it at their leisure. They have their area and access to the rest of the building when there's not preschool. So they have larger meetings in there. They have their monthly meetings, sometimes weekly meetings. And so that's something that we do need to incorporate that would help offset these costs, because we do not charge them any. And they do not help maintain the building.
And then we also rent out Veterans Hall for events, right? Or we have the ability to. Does that do we have some sort of agreement in place that if we want to be able to rent it out for, like, I don't know, a wedding or, a reunion or something, like, is there some sort of, I don't know, a schedule that who has priority to use it?
Correct. And if we have a rental, it's our priority. The only day we don't rent out is the third Friday of the month, is when they have their meeting. Other dates, they have to ask us, they have to fill out our application, which we've just implemented. Unfortunately, I've inherited some things, and so I'm trying to update and fix those items where no one can just kind of go free range and use it whenever they please. There's a schedule. Everybody's aware. There's insurance involved, because at one point there was no insurance from the VFW. There is now insurance in place.
So you're going to give me a heart attack.
Yes.
Okay.
So making sure we start doing those items, but rentals do come first, and they're aware of that. We have come across issues because there is nothing in writing, but we've kind of clarified that with them, and it's going in a positive direction, I will say. We have positive conversations. We are communicating. There is lack of communication at times, to be quite honest, but that's why this agreement that we are going to put in place with them will kind of clarify all the information, much like the Heritage Foundation, right? The Heritage Foundation upkeeps the area, pays for the air, pays for the water, pays for electricity. Right now, the VFW does not pay anything for it.
And our youth sports, very similar, that you have, finally, we are now moving into agreements with all of our youth sports leagues that use our all the facilities as well.
Correct. And so for the youth sports, we came from nowhere from charging them, right? And we started baby steps with them. So 2 agreements, Laverne Little League and Laverne Girls Softball, their term ends at the end of this year. They are coming to the Parks and Recreation Commission and doing their annual report to the commission, and then I will come to council, just kind of receive and file that report, but eventually going up. I'm being quite honest with you. I've talked to other cities. My kids play in other cities as well, and a lot of these organizations pay upwards to $15,000 a season. We get pennies right now. So we need to look at that in, right, sustainability, our infrastructure, how are we going to move forward, how are we going to maintain our fields, all those items we're currently doing, and staff is training. I can tell you right now, I did the first section of CPRS and California Parks and Recreation Society for sustainability. Next month, or this month, I go for part 2, and that's part of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, and how are we going to sustain ourselves in building this roadmap of how we're going to maintain what we currently have, and kind of stop building right now. Let's maintain what we currently have, and making sure that everybody's kind of paying their dues, for lack of a better term.
And then the last part too about Parks and Rec and our preschool. The preschool at Oak Mesa, because of less preschool students, because of transitional kindergarten that's happening at schools, we are moving the preschool that was at Oak Mesa down to Veterans Hall.
So we restructured. So we had a preschool teacher retire. We're moving one of the programs down there, and in turn, we're upgrading Oak Mesa, and we're going to rent that facility out now to sports groups and stuff. And that cost recovery model, kind of like what we're doing on Fridays at the community center, although we are closing, we were able to reshift everything to other days. Nothing was canceled. We just reshifted those classes, and now it becomes a rentable space to companies for trainings, for rental. Some people like to get married on Fridays. So now we have that, and that does have a cost recovery effort as well.
You know, the question I have is, so the Veterans Hall originally it was donated, right? It was
by the
built
American Legion, not the VFW.
By the American Legion, donated to the city. So here you go. Here's the whole hall. It's all for you. Since that time,
part of the hall we've built since on top of the hall. The main hall.
Who did what?
The main hall was donated by the American Legion, which is the big room. Everything else was built by the city.
Everything else built by the city. So you got a little portion, sliver here and there. Okay, great. Hopefully they build bigger and better and move on. But so then we have the childcare, right?
Preschool.
Preschool.
Yes.
Preschool. That's
Parent
there.
and Me and preschool. Yes.
Outstanding. So we have that. So we're going to get both of them to get together and say, hey, help clean up this facility.
Correct.
I need you to do your portion. Keep it clean, because we don't have, staffing here. We need you to
Restrooms,
do what military does best. Say we have everybody pitch in, right? That's what we do, and that's expected. And then to do their portion. And that portion is $11,000.
Right now, we play cleaning services for 4 times a week at Veterans Hall, and it's about $11,000. It does go up very minimally.
Sure.
I will say that another option is we could reduce construction costs within Veterans Hall. It is an older building, so we're continually maintaining that building and kind of offset some of those costs for cleaning services. We can go down a few days to kind of help, kind of eventually get to this road to eventually everybody cleaning. So maybe it's 4 days, maybe we go down to 2 days and kind of reduce that in half.
And then, so based on that, that's absolute. I get that being a soldier. So Memorial Day and Veterans Day is $5,000 for a 2-day event?
Personnel and also the DJ costs, of which the VFW requires. We do have some donations. $1 a ticket from the 4th of July event is donated back to Veterans Memorial, but that is staff costs. It does take
never knew
quite
that
a bit
in
of
all these
staff.
years.
Yeah.
I wish somebody would have shared that. I think, if we shared that type of information where $1 of proceed goes towards that, I think that would go a longer way.
Yeah.
That's why you're awesome. Okay, good. Now that I know, so please let's kind of continue that, because I want to be able, and this is the first time all these years I've ever heard that. I definitely will share that, because, get people, even if they don't show up to these events, please donate, at least you can, for a ticket.
And there are some, Dan Harden donates monthly.
God bless him.
So it doesn't, but to sustain all that stuff. So it is a lot of money.
Yeah, I get it. So, okay. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Parks and Rec.
You're not done with your report.
Yeah,
though.
she's not done.
Right?
No,
I
there's
didn't
more.
think so.
There's more fun. But wait, there's more.
So the final area, and I'll go back. The final area really is made up of multiple different items, and all the departments are generally impacted by the different areas. Each department who is impacted did provide a response, which was requested by council regarding specific details for their respective departments about training. All training is not the same. The training that happens in administration is very different requirements than the training that happens with public safety. And so each department did provide detailed information on really what they're doing with training and what they have done in order to make adjustments to their training budgets to make sure that they meet those minimum requirements. And as I mentioned earlier, there is a lot of information in this report. And so I am definitely not going over everything in detail. But we are looking for additional direction from council, specific direction on whether we want to utilize reserves or move forward with some of the operational reductions or somewhere in between. And based on council direction, the city manager will bring to the city council a budget balanced with and without the use of reserves on June 15th, 2026. So if you have any questions, I'm definitely here to answer them, or I know Ken will jump in if he needs to.
Well, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council, I want to thank Christy and her staff for all the work they've been doing. They've also been, today, June 1st, was Go Live Day for our finance enterprise system, which was a major issue over the weekend and for the last, year and a half. That staff has been working on that. So now we're finding out all the bugs and the kinks.
All the fun stuff, yes.
Yeah. So they've been doing triple and quadruple duty during these last several months. So greatly appreciate that. But so looking for direction. So the goal always is to, be structurally balanced. What you heard in the third quarter is that we're looking at potentially a $300,000, offset, but a lot of that is based on personnel costs, overtime issues, some other things like that. So those are really where we're at in our budget. We're so thin that a cough, a hiccup moves the graph one way or the other. So part of the review tonight is on training, for example. I don't like cutting training because training is needed to make sure your employees are strong, that they're understanding what the current laws are, and that they're getting the best practices moving forward and efficiencies. So we're always going to be looking at efficiencies first and foremost, going back to the whole community programs and all that stuff. Those community programs are what really make a city. We could do nothing, we can shut our parks, we can do whatever, but then you really don't have a community, you don't have a city, and you see your values go down. So looking at some options as far as increased sponsorships or some other things. I do know that getting more sponsors is difficult, but first we'll look at some of the amendments to the events. Are there different things? We're able to provide you more information now about what these programs cost than we were a year ago, and most certainly 2 or 3 years ago, because we really didn't know what these programs cost. So our goal is, can we make sure we can deliver it for less cost, but still in a safe way? So that's where, programs that are in the streets, we always have to have the meridian barriers out. We have to have other cars and safety, because you want to make sure that the people are safe. Some of these other programs in parks, we want to make sure there's safety, but can we do things a little bit differently that reduces the cost? Can we use the rec guide and maybe have a page or two in there that celebrates all the people who want to sponsor? So that's an opportunity to go out to all the residents. And so now there's a sponsorship opportunity that goes out to all the residents, and they see value in that. So they therefore may give a little bit of money towards an event. So those are all things that we are looking at to make sure. But going back to, how thin we are in the budget, if we look, if I know there's about $75,000 that I won't say easily, but I can make sure that is cut from the $233,000. If we can get down to about $150,000 or so, that's one thing that I'd like the city council to kind of consider when we do bring back a full budget, that Okay, let's see how we go through the year that's coming up. Because again, looking at overtime, looking at staffing vacancies and how we do that. We are looking at a couple positions that kind of naturally, at least one that will go away, but do we have to refill it? Not sure. But that is something that every position that opens up, I ask my directors to look at it, what that means for the department. Can we restructure? Can we, change it around? I don't want to use the phrase I was using to Christy today. She smiles. Change is good, but spare change is better. And so if we can find some of the spare change from those programs or the seat cushions, we can do that. But we are thin. I wish that our revenues would continue to go up, but they're not. I would recommend people, your car's old, please buy a new car, because even if you buy it in Claremont or Santa Ana or anywhere else, it does benefit the city through Measure LV. And that was one of the things we saw. We saw a reduction in Measure LV by about $300,000 because people haven't been buying cars as much as they used to. So,
what is our percent of our reserves? And then if we, I ask this every time too. If we do have a deficit of, you're saying 150,000, then how much does that eat into the reserves as well?
I don't have the percentage on me, unfortunately. However, because of the shift in the waste management expenditures actually not being included in the budget next year, or really only 1/4 of them being included, our reserve amounts percentage-wise is actually going to go up next year. It's not going to go down.
Because reserves are based on expenditures is
correct.
what they are.
Correct. So it would utilize the reserves as far as cost goes. Percentage-wise, that would increase, but it would utilize the reserves.
And again, where we're at is, as we identified the last time,
I think
70.
we're over 30%, but I'm not positive.
Yeah,
At
we're
the
over
last
30%.
meeting you said 30.
Yeah.
So
but no, the personnel costs are the largest, 78 or 72%. 72% of all costs are personnel related. So that's a big issue, So we're looking at all those.
Any other questions, Steve-O? Comments here for any other questions? Comments here before I go? Then I'm gonna go to. You good? All right, let me open up to the public then. Anybody members of the public? Ms. Berry, please step forward.
Hello. Mr. Domer, I liked what you had to say as far as that the special events are kind of what make the city. And I, the chart's not there anymore. Always goes away right about the time I need to look at it. It's such a small part as compared to the entire budget. I kind of hate to even see it there. But at what point, I know the water is way under the bridge and we are running thin and Major LV money is pretty much depleted, and it went to salary increases. And to kind of go off of what you had to say, Wendy, regarding the events, that the people won't like it, at what point are we going to say, I'm sorry, staff, that you don't like it, but we can't keep raising the money for you when the residents, we're not keeping up with everything. We need to make cuts. Why is it always that the thing related to the residents is first, that the expenses are for the residents first, that the trimming is for the residents first? And the city was chopped up into 5 districts so that each one of you could represent the people you live near. But it has felt for quite a while like the people really aren't being represented as much as these different agencies or entities or the employees or whatever. I know that those people are important, and I'm not devaluing them, but it feels like it's become more important than the people that you're representing. And we really do need to make some changes, and some of that needs to be at least, let's not just jump to increase everything all the time, or let's just freeze a little bit, because you know what? Everybody else is dealing with that. Everybody else has had some sort of a limited income, or our expenses are going more for gas and food and water bills. And I mean, when you think about it, over 1,000 people, probably 1,300 people in this city came out to sign a form regarding the water increase. And it really felt like that did not matter because it wasn't at this level. But those are still the people that you represent. Those were a lot of people, because I was out there having people come. I mean, people were coming from their homes to fill out this form. They took a lot of time to do that, and it really felt like it didn't matter. And we've made comments for so long on various different things, and then the votes just happen, and it's like, you want to know I haven't been here for a while? Because it hurts. It really is very frustrating to know that these people that are supposed to represent us are really more concerned about this or that. It doesn't really feel like sometimes that we're that important. And I appreciate that you're doing what you can to try to keep those things that matter. But we got a long way to go in making things not so thin. And I just want to just ask you to remember that that the people are important, and when we say we can't afford this or that or the other thing, maybe adjust some of the spending. Maybe not everything that is recommended for approval should be automatically approved. Maybe we need to think about some of those a little bit more. Thanks.
Ms. Berry, any other member of our great community like to have a comment? Okay, thank you, seeing none. We'll bring it back up to the dais. Right back to you, Ricky.
Thank you. Yes, I want to make sure that we keep our reserves. That's going to be my direction. That when I stepped in this role, we had about a 28 to 30% reserves. Believe that is where we need to make sure and keep maintaining our reserves. I do believe in our special events and what's happening with our cities. Also, a lot of times items don't even get to this stage because we have given direction of what things not happen beforehand too. And so that's really pleased by the city to make sure that we are maintaining our budgets and they're listening to us, so that not voting down things because of it's not even put on there because we've already kind of gave directions not to have them. We want to make sure that we maintain a balanced budget. You know, a structural deficit is never good, even though we want to make sure that you just said we might have $300,000 that was going into reserves already. So then plus the 150, that's $450,000 in just this last two items. So making sure that we're looking at those things. And the item just before that was talking about GG and trying to make sure and maintain that's money going out on our general fund as well. So that's almost $1 million a year going out to our residents for safety. But that is a cost. And what I've heard a lot from our residents is how important our safety with our fire being in-house and our police being in-house, which is a very expensive thing to have compared to contract cities that contract with the county sheriffs and the county fire department, which do not give the personal experience that we benefit from and enjoy with our city. When Upland went from their own fire department to county, they've had fire engineers that did not know what streets were what, and they were getting there late because they transferred over to a county program. Our fire department knows exactly where it pops up, and if it's, this name that pops up quite often, they know where to go right away. And that kind of service is what we pay for. That kind of service costs more money to have, but it's expensive. And so looking at the GG, I hope that residents know that there too, then it really helps out with all the other services that we are now have to look to reduce because of the cost of those things happening. Our police department is exceptional police department as well, knowing where the areas that we are driving through, making sure that people are being safe at all the times. And so really do appreciate that. Again, back to our fire, 90% of our things are medical, and where that's a different type of service that we give as well, and a more personal service. And so maintain all this is costs. And that's something that I know myself and my esteemed colleagues, we don't take that lightly. And I've been on the council since 2020, and those topics has been on here all the time and fighting for or against to keep. And I know loud and clear people have come to my house and had personal conversations numerous times about why it's important to make sure that we have those services. And going out to the mobile home residents that I go meet with at least every quarter, each spot, and the mayor and I go there, or every time they're having a safety meeting, we show up there to listen to them and find out what they are looking for. So we are going out to the residents around us as well. So my direction is to, again, not having eaten into our reserves, but maintaining about that 30% reserves and making sure that we keep these programs as much as possible because they do so much for our city.
No problem. Steven?
I concur.
Thank you, Doctor. Wendy?
I mean, I think a couple of things, when we're talking about these community events, obviously we don't want to get rid of it, but then you hear the direction that, what else can we cut? And, are we being too kind to our employees? Or are we keeping too many of them? And I think you don't have these events without our employees. You don't have public safety without our police and fire. And so therein lies the rub, right? We are in, and I'll say it again and again, we live in a city that does not have a car dealership, that does not have a Costco, that does not have hotels. So we don't see the revenue that some other cities see. And so when we talk about Measure LV and people want to be upset about Measure LV is tied to sales tax. So if you're not purchasing in Laverne, that's also contributing to the ever tightening margin that we have there for funds to be able to pay for public safety and to fund things that that money was supposed to be for. So I think that, I agree that we want to try to keep as many things as possible, but it's also the reality of, is it sustainable? And are people going to have to get real uncomfortable and comfortable with change? Because if we want to keep these events, I think we should. But do they look different? Do we have, like I said, do we not do as many concerts in the park to reduce that cost? We heard about the Veterans Hall and the cleaning and the fact that we are not common in terms of not charging a rental fee. What does that look like? What are we looking at in terms of our youth sports? I think we have been really blessed and really privileged that we have gone a long time without having to incur some of the costs that other cities have and other people have. So it's a cost-benefit analysis. If we really want to keep these things and we think these things are really important, what are the changes that have to happen? I agree that making sure that our employees are trained is important to, again, make sure that they're upholding the level of service that we've all gotten really used to having. So I think, I don't envy Obviously, staff and all of our department heads that have had to, go back and forth about figuring out where we're going to be. But my direction, I think, along with Councilmember Crosby's, is really just going to be, how are we thinking differently? And I know I've said this before too. Just because we've never charged for something, is that the case? Or if the alternative is not having it all, or charging a fee to offset, what does that look like? I've also asked before, because I know that we've gone to the same businesses over and over for some of these events. And this is my advancement mind coming from, higher ed. Do we look at doing bundled pledges? For this amount, you will get an ad for these events, versus what may feel like nickel and diming, businesses, by saying every 3 months, hey, Concerts in the Park is coming up. Hey, it's 4th of July. Hey, by the way, winter's coming, So I think we just really need to think about that. But it is not a small feat. So I will, in Tim's absence, I will say, shop Laverne, spend money here. And, let's think about what it is that's really important and how we can keep it. And just thank you to the staff. I know we ask you continually to do more and more with less and less. And you've come through. So we appreciate that. Thank you.
A lot of great direction today from our amazing, esteemed colleagues. I always like to end it with, please continue to collaborate and consolidate, however you see fit. Collaborate, consolidate. And I was trying to remember that one term. Change is good, but spare change is better. I'm so used to that. Appreciate you. Let's continue to move forward. Thank you.
And this was direction?
Receive and file.
Just direction.
Yes. Outstanding. Thank you. All right, the final item is the resolution authorizing the execution of the MOE, Memorandum of Understanding between the City of Laverne and the Laverne Police Middle Management Association. City Manager Dormer, do you have anybody for staff that will be able to be reporting on this?
Yes, sir. Assistant City Manager J.R. Reynolds is providing this.
Excellent, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council. The previous Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, with the Police Middle Management Association expired in June of 2025. Since that time, we've been in active negotiations that have also been influenced by the ongoing negotiations with the Police Officers Association, because specifically lieutenant compensation is directly tied to the sergeant classification that's in the Police Officers Association. After extensive discussions regarding compensation, organizational alignment, and the city's fiscal condition, the parties reached a tentative agreement in late April. The proposed MOU covers a 3-year term from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028, aligning with the POA agreement. And why we go back to 2025 really is a big part of the retirement system and PERS and some of the audits that we've recently gone through, where they want to make sure that we go back to when the previous agreement expired.
But the pay increase does not go back to July 2025.
It does
right?
not. It actually, that's the next bullet. The compensation provisions will be effective May 3rd because that's the first full pay period after we reach the tentative agreement. And why it's taken from May 3rd or late April to now to bring it before council is we really wanted to make sure we took time with the MOU language and had both parties review it thoroughly and then present it to the city attorney's office, and specifically our city attorney, Ms. Hall Barlow, to review it and make sure that the language was fully vetted and put together correctly. The key provisions are medical benefit contributions for capped employees will increase effective July 2026 and will be aligned with the contribution structure that has been in place for POA. The lieutenant salary compaction provisions are updated to maintain appropriate compensation relationships between supervisory and subordinate ranks. I already used an example of the lieutenants and sergeants. The police captain classification is formally incorporated into the PMMA MOU for the first time. It had previously been in the unrepresented group, and while council took an action a couple years ago to recognize the captain position in this group. We haven't had a new MOU come up until this time, so that it's formally being put into the language. A new master's degree educational incentive and longevity pay is established for eligible employees, similar to the POA group. Employee CalPERS contributions for classic members will increase with this MOU, going from 9% to 11% by July 2027. An appropriation will also need to be approved tonight from council for this fiscal year of $19,412 to cover the compensation increases for personnel costs. With next year's, there will be increases as well, but those will be part of the budget and have been part of the budget numbers that have been presented. The recommended actions for council is adopt the resolution authorizing execution of the memorandum of understanding between the City of Laverne and the Laverne Laverne Police Middle Management Association, and approve the appropriation of $19,412 from Measure LV to the fiscal year 2025-26 budget to fund the agreement's current year costs.
I just want to repeat what you you said was this agreement has already been accounted for with the budget discussion that we just had, so it's not going to then, besides what was just placed for this year, the $19,000. So we're not looking more money after our last discussion.
Correct.
Any other further questions? Or open up to the public? I open up this comment to any members of our public that have wish to ask any questions at this time. Okay, seeing and hearing none, we'll bring it back up to the dais. Ricky?
No, just thank you. I know this is really in line with our POA agreement that we did, and our middle management in our police association is just aligned with that, and want to make sure the compaction is done correctly. So thank you so much.
Outstanding. Steve-O? Wendy? Outstanding. I have nothing else. Thank you. Okay, is there a motion to adopt the attached resolution titled Resolution of the City of Laverne City Council, City of Laverne, California, authorizing the execution of a memorandum of understanding between the City of Laverne and the Laverne Police Middle Management Association, and authorize the appropriations of $19,412 from Measure LV to the fiscal year 2025-2026.
So move.
Second. Please vote.
Item number 10, motion by Crosby, seconded by Lau, approved 4-0 with Mayor Hepburn being absent. Thank you, Council.
Outstanding. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Great. Now, moment in time now. There's no other business tonight, so we will move on to public comments. This is the time set aside for anyone wishing to address the City Council on items not listed on the agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of this great city. The Brown Act prohibits the City Council from engaging in discussion on any item not on the proposed agenda. Your concerns may be referred to staff or placed for discussion at a later date. There will be a 3-minute time frame for public comments at this time. Those who wishing to speak, please raise your hand so I identify you and welcome you up to the podium. And then when you get up here, please state your name. No? Going once. I know my favorite line over there from Laverne University. I'm trying. So, I know. But he was looking at me smiling. I recognize.
I know.
Hey, can I ever? I get twice a year. All right, there you go. Thank you. Anything else? We'll bring it back to my colleagues here. Ricky?
I do want to recognize former school board member Matt Lyons being here today, so I really appreciate you coming. Thank you. Go vote. Well, there's a lot of things out there for and against what you want to believe in. We have a lot of things here for our local schools, so go out there and vote. It closes tomorrow, so make sure that you put that in. This on Sunday, June 28th, coming soon, is our Concert in the Park series starts, so make sure you go out there. And then I know Mr. Domer stepped out. Can we put down our library events and our historical society? They come up here every meeting and talk about their events. If they put them on our agenda as well, their events happening, so that they are then placed out there. Really do appreciate it, especially them coming all the time talking about when their events are. And lastly, I just want to take some personal privilege and really say happy birthday to my father. He turned 90 last Thursday. He is an Air Force veteran. And so last Thursday turned 90, and the man is amazing. He is legally blind, doesn't drive, but still on his birthday shot a 189 bowling game, went out there and did it. He just amazes me. Would kick my butt everywhere. I'm bowling anytime. But no. Mom takes him everywhere, the bus, or he would ride a scooter. Doesn't do that anymore. We took that away.
Oh, man. You let him ride on the curb
for
man.
about 15 miles to get to the bowling alley because that's what he loves to do. But we got to celebrate him this weekend. And Don Diamond, happy birthday, 90 years old.
Steve? Oh.
Not much to add. Just let you know that Lori's on a choir tour to Spain.
Oh. Yeah. Is she doing the Camino?
I don't know exactly.
Okay.
It's a choir tour.
Yeah.
Church of the Brethren.
Very nice. Great time. God bless. Hopefully brings you back some Iberico from Spain.
You know, I have a council meeting. Can't go on a vacation.
You missed out. Tim's sipping on the margarita. Go ahead. Wendy?
We did just celebrate Memorial Day on May 25th. Always a very nice event. We had a wonderful representation from the Boy Scouts, from local communities. So that was a really great event. So thank you for everybody that was a part of that. And it stayed nice and overcast for a little bit before the sun decided to peek out. So we are in celebration season. The University of Laverne just had their baccalaureate and their graduation this weekend. Lots of very happy, well-educated folks going out into the world to do good things. So I'm very excited about that. I know some of us up here will be going to Ramona's promotion on the 3rd, on Wednesday. So we'll see some of our future, maybe hopefully Leo's, graduating or promoting from Ramona up. And then I'm going to do my shameless plug, as we've been talking about money and sponsorships and all of that fun stuff. 4th of July is coming up. I know it might seem like it's a little while away, but you still have the opportunity to help sponsor this wonderful event that lasts all day, from the parade to, from pancake breakfast to the parade to the fireworks show and all of that. There is an opportunity to sponsor. Tickets are also available, and now we all know that a portion of those ticket sales does go to help fund the Veterans Hall and the Memorial Day events. So take a look at that. They are also going to be commemorative T-shirts available. So those are available online. So if you haven't seen them, I know Candace and some other folks have spent some time putting that together. So take a look. If you want to be in the parade, we are still taking parade applications. So, what fun it could be marching down the streets of Laverne. But please take a look at that and get ready for a fun day. Again, it's just around the corner. I know it doesn't feel like it, but it's almost there. So with that, I think that's all for now. Enjoy the rest of graduation season. I know Benita graduates this week as well. So a lot of fun things. So congratulate the students and have a good start of your summer if you actually get to have one.
Gaming was last week on Friday. Thank you for saving me. I was just trying to get that last one in for Benita High School, but this is why we have a great council. Yeah, everybody remembers our community events that we have here. I will leave you with this. So please, like Wendy used to say and continues to say, just be kind. I just want to end with that note. Just be kind. Life is too short. Enjoy the moments. We have a graduation. Again, we'll reiterate, don't forget your vote. Don't forget to vote. Your vote matters, regardless of how it is. Respect one another. That's what this country is founded.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, may I ask one question? For the library and the Historical Society events, in order to get these into our agenda,
sure,
we will need to have them
agendized
well in advance of the publication of the agenda. So, if you would please get those to us as soon as possible so that we can include them. And on that note, can I just say I'm very proud that my firm is once again sponsoring
Thank you.
the 4th of July event this year.
Can we get an increase?
Thank you for helping make the event happen for the city.
And God bless you all. I'm again back on active duty probably this week for a little bit, but I should be back by hopefully God willing. But do good things, take care of one another, and God bless. Thank you. And we're going to go ahead to adjourn the next regular city meeting of the city of Laverne, scheduled for Monday, June 15th, 2026. Closed session will start at 5:30 p.m. The regular meeting will start at 6:30. As a reminder, upcoming events and meetings are posted on the last page of the city council agenda. We adjourn at this time, 9:26. All right, going once, going twice.